Hey everyone, welcome to FanFic Canon. Thanks for hitting play. I'm thrilled to bring this fan-made story to life for you. If you enjoy the ride and want more narrated fanfics, smash, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. And if you want audiobook of a novel of your choice, join my Patreon. Request any title that's freely available online, and I'll produce a full narration just for you. Now, let's dive into today's adventure.
Feng shot Sarutobi Hiruzen a glance. If the third Hokage hadn't stepped in when he did, Mito Menyen would already be on the ground. The half-transformed Menyen looked monstrous, and the crowd recoiled in fear. People pointed, shouted, and even the children began throwing stones. "Get away from me, you worthless trash." Danzo watched Menyen losing control and felt an icy chill run through him. Hiruzen could only sigh. Yifeng's actions had been righteous and decisive. Danzo and Menyen had no excuse left to hide behind. Yifeng, take them to the Umbu for interrogation. With so many witnesses, there was no way Hiruzen could show favoritism anymore. If he protected them now, his position as Hokage would shake. He understood well that the people who support you today can turn against you just as quickly. Yifeng bowed slightly. "Hokage-sama, there are too many suspects to fit in Umbu cells. We should interrogate them publicly in the square and give the entire village a fair answer." Danzo's eyes widened. A public interrogation? In broad daylight? In front of everyone? Even he still had some pride. Meanwhile, Menyen, still trapped inside the Vidra rod cage, suddenly snapped again. His partial Bija form flared, the two-tailed chakra ripping across his body. The seal on his stomach shattered. With a thunderous explosion, the two tails erupted from him, tearing apart the cage with brute force. "Protect the villagers." Hiruzen instantly created multiple shadow clones, forming a protective barrier around the crowd. Danzo backed away, face twisted. But Yifeng simply clapped his hands. Massive wooden dragons burst from the ground, coiling around the two tails. In seconds, the beast was pinned and suppressed, roaring twice before being completely restrained. He turned calmly to Hiruzen. "Hokage-sama, he's clearly unstable. Moving him indoors will only destroy buildings. We should conduct interrogation here." Before Hiruzen could respond, clan heads and elite shinobi from every major family arrived, followed soon after by Uzumaki Mito herself. They bowed. "Naruto-sama, we request a public interrogation. The village deserves the truth." Hiruzen knew then there was no turning back. He looked at Danzo. "This happened under your watch. Were you aware?" Danzo's expression turned cold. "I don't know what you're talking about. Is there still law in this village, or can anyone be dragged away at will?" Yifeng stepped forward. "Then let's begin. Today, the Shimura clan, the Mito clan, and the Kahaku compound will be investigated for mission fraud, stolen achievements, and illegal promotions." One by one, the accused were brought out. The crowd murmured. So it's finally happening. Hundreds were named. High-ranking members, elders, future heirs. Some collapsed. Some shouted. Some went pale. Menyen fainted outright. Danzo watched, fury burning under the surface. Yifeng wasn't pruning branches. He was cutting down the tree. Danzo snapped. "So only our families committed fraud? Is this your personal grudge, Yifeng?" Yifeng raised a hand calmly. "Don't worry. There are more." A handful of shinobi from other clans stepped forward. 6, maybe 7. Compared to the hundreds from the 3 major families, it was nothing. The other clan heads bowed their heads in shame while still standing tall. Danzo finally understood. He was being cornered. And Yifeng had the moral high ground. Then Danzo struck back. "If this went on for 20 years, Hokage-sama, you knew nothing? Isn't that your failure as leader?" The air went still. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Even Hiruzen tensed. Danzo continued, voice rising. "Konoha has rotted from the top. You even protected Orochimaru despite his crimes, simply because he was your disciple." The confrontation ignited. For a moment, Yifeng simply watched. He hadn't expected this interrogation to turn into a direct clash between Danzo and the Hokage. But when the chaos began to tip out of control, He stepped forward again. Danzo, enough. The evidence of your collaboration with enemy villages is right here. The crowd froze. Enemy collaboration? Even Danzo's mask cracked. He tried to speak, but Yifeng was already moving. Wooden restraints wrapped him in an instant. Stay there and listen. Photographs were revealed. Documents, records, intelligence logs, proof of Danzo's dealings with Hidden Cloud. And that wasn't all. Yifeng's gaze narrowed. And you weren't just betraying the village. You betrayed your comrades. He reached forward and tore the bandages from Danzo's right eye. Gasps ripped through the crowd. A Sharingan. Uchiha Kagami's eye. Stolen. Hidden. Protected. The truth lay bare under the sunlight. Danzo could no longer speak. And Konoha witnessed everything. At this point, Danzo still hadn't transplanted Orochimaru's mutated right arm of first Hokage cells, but his right eye already held Uchiha Kagami's Sharingan. Eye transplants weren't exactly advanced science. For skilled medical nin, the success rate was very high. Danzo's eyelids twitched uncontrollably as the Sharingan spun in his right eye, but he couldn't change anything now. He finally understood why root operatives had died so easily. He finally understood how the third Mizukage had fallen to Yifeng. Yifeng was simply too strong. There was no room to resist. Genjutsu didn't work on him at all. The wooden restraints wrapped around Danzo's body held him completely immobile, constantly draining his chakra like roots sucking a tree dry. Danzo, you deserve to die. You actually stole our Uchiha clan's Sharingan, and it's Kagami-senpai's eye. Everyone stared at Danzo, stunned and disgusted. Uchiha Kagami, once hailed alongside Sarutobi Hiruzen as the twin prodigies of their era, had died young from illness at 25. So when was this eye taken? Had Danzo really dug up his grave? The Uchiha clan leader trembled with rage, veins bulging at his temples as his eyes bled. His Sharingan flared open on instinct. He locked eyes with Danzo for a moment and immediately coughed blood. The clash was over in an instant. Kagami's Sharingan was simply too powerful in Danzo's socket. Give back our clan's Sharingan. The Uchiha leader roared and collapsed, fainting on the spot. Shun-sensei. Uchiha Fugaku's expression twisted with grief and fury. Hokage-sama, what is this? Who is going to explain this to the Uchiha clan? Danzo, how did you become like this? Hiruzen looked at his old friend bound in wood, and a tear slid from the corner of his eye. Back then, when they had chosen different paths, Danzo had said, "You'll be the leaf in the sunlight. I'll be the root buried in the dark." Was this what root meant? No. This was poison. Hiruzen's eyes hardened. He raised the adamantine staff high and brought it down toward Danzo's head with all his strength. That strike carried his resolve as Hokage and as a friend. If Danzo had to die, Hiruzen wanted to be the one to end it. It was the final kindness he could offer. Let me send you off, one last time. Danzo watched the blow descend and suddenly laughed. Hiruzen, so you finally decided to strike me down. Izanagi. The forbidden jutsu of the Uchiha clan. It was etched into Kagami's Sharingan long ago. For a brief span of time, all harm suffered by the user, including death, became nothing more than illusion, while outcomes beneficial to the user became reality. The forbidden power to rewrite reality and dreams. The price. The eye that cast it would go blind forever. The staff came down. The ground exploded. Danzo's body was smashed into pulp, the shockwave ripping through the surrounding buildings. Roof tiles shattered, walls cracked, some houses even collapsed outright. That was Hiruzen's full power. So this is how Danzo dies. But the next moment, the mess of flesh twisted and reformed. Danzo stood there again alive. Everyone recoiled in horror. What is that? Danzo exhaled sharply and spat out a storm of wind blades, the air screaming as they flew toward Hiruzen. Wind style, vacuum wave. Be careful, Hokage-sama. Naruto-sama. The attack came too fast. Even the Umbu were caught off guard. Hiruzen tried to use the body flicker, but he was half a step too slow. A wind blade grazed his face, carving a deep bloody line across it. Blood sprayed, covering half his face in red. Danzo. Hiruzen roared, then froze. The vacuum blade didn't stop with him. It tore forward toward the area where a crowd of lower and mid-level shinobi were standing. Their faces drained of color as they watched death racing toward them. Feng stepped in front of them and formed a seal. With style, wood-locking wall. Thick wooden walls burst from the ground one after another, forming multiple layers of defense. The vacuum wave sliced through wall after wall until it finally dissipated against the last layer. Hiruzen let out a slow breath and glared at Danzo. By then, Danzo had already bitten his thumb, pressed his bloody hand to the ground, and slammed his palm down. Seals spread out in a circle around him like ripples on water. Feng narrowed his eyes. A summoning. Thanks to his current Uzumaki Ashina S-rank card, he knew sealing arrays like this better than anyone. He also hadn't forgotten the S-rank Ryoichi Cave summoning contract he still held. Smoke erupted with a dull boom. The ground shook. When the smoke cleared, a massive creature appeared. Its head resembled an elephant's, but its limbs were clawed, and its forehead was wrapped in bandages just like Danzo's. Danzo's summon, the dream-eating tapir. The moment the beast appeared, Danzo used the chaos to flee. The tapir roared, a deafening sound wave, then opened its huge mouth toward the crowd. "Everyone, get down!" Hiruzen shouted. With dragon technique. Feng slammed his hands together. A giant wooden dragon surged from the earth and lunged at the tapir. Wind style, vacuum wave. Even the summoned beast could use powerful wind jutsu. Wind blades ripped into the wooden dragon, cleaving its body. But that wasn't enough to stop Feng's technique. The severed dragon split into two, each half coiling around the tapir and binding it tightly. In the blink of an eye, the rampaging summon was completely restrained. Hiruzen, half his face soaked in blood, could only stand there while Feng cleaned up. More and more Umbu were already chasing after Danzo. Wind style, vacuum wave. Explosions echoed outside the village. Danzo used his vacuum jutsu again and again, like a scythe of wind, ripping apart forests, rocks, and buildings along his escape path. Be careful. Scatter. The Umbu dodged, rattled by the ferocity of his attacks. Danzo hadn't fought seriously in decades. Now that he had, his strength was clearly at Kage level. One-handed wind style alone was enough to terrify them, and with the dream tapir in the mix, he was even more dangerous. Fortunately, most civilians had left their homes to watch the public trial, so there weren't many people left in the damaged buildings. Casualties were limited. Hiruzen shook with anger. How can this man still refuse to die? The Umbu chased him all the way out of Konoha, but Danzo had almost reached the edge of the forest of death. Just then, a golden flash dropped from the sky. Danzo, did you really think Izanagi means you can escape? Shimura Danzo, you're not going anywhere. The fourth Hokage, Namikaze Minato, finally arrived. Trees fell in rows as Minato's silhouette flickered through the forest, closing the distance in an instant. Danzo panted heavily. Fleeing from the village while constantly using high-level jutsu had drained his chakra. Even his summon was no longer by his side. Several kunai whistled through the air from behind. TCH. The Flying Thunder God technique, huh? Don't get ahead of yourself. Danzo recognized Minato from a single glance. Minato's use of Flying Thunder God was no secret. As Tobirama's disciple, Danzo knew the technique very well. The instant he saw those special kunai, he knew exactly what Minato wanted to do. Wind style. Vacuum serial waves. A storm of overlapping vacuum blades shredded the incoming kunai and ravaged the forest, tearing trees apart and filling the air with dust and debris. With his path cleared, Danzo smirked and bolted ahead again. Trying to hunt me down? Too naive. He turned to flee. And froze. Feng was standing right in front of him. Wind style. Vacuum bullets. Danzo inhaled sharply and fired rapid, bullet-like blasts of wind chakra, like a living machine gun. The air was torn apart by the barrage. But every shot hit nothing. Feng vanished from sight. Danzo's face twisted. That's speed. Body flicker. Behind him, a piercing sound like 1,000 birds crying split the silence. Lightning. Feng's silhouette appeared at his back. Danzo barely started to turn when he saw it, the blinding blue-white light reflected in his pupils. No! Flying Thunder God. His last word was drowned out by the roar of thunder. Yifeng's right hand was wreathed in violent lightning, compressed into a razor-sharp point. It pierced Danzo's chest clean through and burst out of his back. Blood sprayed. A hero who had lurked in Konoha's shadows for decades coughed up a mouthful of blood, his gaze flickering with hatred, resentment, and a flash of regret. He regretted one thing. That day, when Feng first moved against his roots, he hadn't gone himself. He had sent 10 root operatives instead. If he had personally acted back then, would the outcome be different now? The light faded from his eyes. What ninjutsu is that? Lightning style. Chidori. Before Feng finished speaking, Danzo's heart stopped. The darkness of Konoha was gone. Feng withdrew his arm and Danzo's body crumpled to the forest floor. Behind them, trees exploded apart as Minato finally burst through the wreckage, surrounded by dust and falling trunks. Feng. He stared at Danzo's corpse in surprise. How was Feng faster than him this time? Minato, bring the body back. Minato paused, then nodded. Understood. A moment later, he blinked, realizing something. Why am I the one always hauling corpses back for Feng? Yifei. He turned to speak, but Yifeng's figure had already vanished again. Seriously. Minato sighed, then sealed Danzo's body and flash-stepped back toward the village. When Feng returned to Konoha, Anbu members were escorting high-ranking shinobi from the Shimura, dormitory, and Mito clans away in chains. They straightened when they saw him. Lord Feng. Lord Feng. Even the passing ninja bowed their heads in respect. Tsunade, who was still tending to Hiruzen's injuries, took in the scene and couldn't help being impressed. When did Feng become someone everyone looked at like that? Hiruzen saw Feng return empty-handed and a flicker of emotion passed through his eyes. Did Danzo escape? His feelings toward Danzo were complicated, a tangled knot of camaraderie, regret, and anger. They had once balanced each other, one in the light, one in the dark. That balance had kept Konoha standing during the chaos after the second Hokage's death. But somewhere along the way, Danzo had changed. Darkness had become cruelty. Sacrifice had become betrayal. Hiruzen had hoped, irrationally, that Danzo would not die by Yifeng's hand. A moment later, Minato arrived, carrying Danzo's corpse. When Hiruzen saw the body, something inside him went quiet. So Danzo is dead after all. Maybe this is for the best. He took a deep breath. Announced to the village that Shimura Danzo betrayed Konoha. His crimes were unforgivable. He was executed by Feng. As for the Shimura, Mito, and dormitory clans, all upper-level members are to be detained and investigated by Anbu. Interrogations will be supervised by Feng. Tsunade's eyes widened slightly at that. Sensei isn't just calming the village, she thought. He's also making a statement to Grandma and pushing Yifeng's position even higher. At this rate, his prestige might soon rival the Sannin. And it's only been a few days. She didn't object. If anything, she felt it was the most logical move. Yifeng carried the Senju name. And as a Senju herself, Tsunade had no reason to oppose him. She would support him. Far away, atop the Hokage rock, a lone figure watched Konoha in silence. His Sharingan turned, the 3 tomos spinning lazily. Uchiha Madara had been observing this entire spectacle from the shadows, yet he never lifted a hand. Danzo is useless trash, he muttered. Full of malice, but no real strength. And Hiruzen tries to imitate Hashirama's benevolence without ever understanding what that really means. He vanished, leaving only the wind. That night, deep inside the Anbu compound, Hiruzen sat alone in front of Danzo's body. The guards kept their distance. No one dared to eavesdrop. Hiruzen held a small flask of sake. Danzo, you really deserve to die. He poured a cup and set it in front of the corpse. But saying that now doesn't change anything. We're old. We shouldn't stand in the way of the young anymore. He poured the drink onto the floor as an offering, then drained the rest in one breath and turned away. Later that night, Uzumaki Mito came to see Feng. Feng, the fall of the three great families and Danzo's death may be satisfying, but they've also shaken the third Hokage deeply. He's exhausted and full of regret over what happened today. So he's already spoken with the heads of 35 clans. He intends to start handing over Hokage authority. He wants to gradually shift the burden onto the next generation. Right now, the delegation from Hidden Cloud is already on its way. The mission to receive and negotiate with them will be entrusted to you again. This is your record. When the time is right, it will also be the moment the third Hokage steps down. And the moment you sit in his place. Dad. When Sarutobi rarely eats breakfast with his family, he suddenly appeared at the home table this morning, which surprised his youngest son Ape-Fei Asma. I actually had time to eat with my father. Ape-Flying Bawako smiled and waited until the youngest son Ape-Fei Asma left before asking rest today. Sarutobi nodded and said, yes, give yourself a 3-day vacation. Can you really take a holiday? Can that group of young people? Ape-Fei smiled and said, why can't it? When we came back from Yunin village, wasn't it also in danger? At that time, we may not be as good as the young people we are now. Ape-Flying Biwalake thought for a while and said, this is also right. As long as you think you can, then it will be no problem. The sudden death of Danzo, as well as the sudden destruction of the Shimura clan, the Dormitory clan, and the Mito clan, caused a sensation in the entire ninja world. This is the great turmoil in Konoha Hidden Village. The mission of Yunin Village is on its way, while Shine Village and Yanin Village are about to move. The next day, Yefeng went to work normally. Of course, the Shadow Doppelganger went to work. Moreover, the Night Maple Shadow Doppelganger took Terumi and the 2 little girls of the Teak Gate, as well as Yamato, the rude outcast, to train with the 7th class. Although the 2 Teak Mons were drawn out of the second tail, they did not die under Tsunade's treatment. But she was still very wary of Yifeng. After all, he was robbed here from Yunin village by Tuanzong. And Terumi is in a much happier mood. No need to look at the terrifying eyes of the big snake pill, let alone draw blood. Now he can go to the ninja school. Terumi is already very satisfied. Zilai also saw Yifeng bring these 3 people, and simply formed the 3 of them into a new class, the 9th class. It turned out that there was a 9th class, the one taught by Makoto Uchiha. As a result, after the task returned, the 3 students of the original 9th class suffered from serious mental illness, and they were all frightened 2 or 3 times on the way, and they are still receiving treatment, so the 9th class was temporarily cancelled. Now reconstitute the 9th class, Terumi, 2 Teak Gates, and Yamato. Then, Makoto Uchiha, who had no students after that day, also came. Now it is equivalent to Yifeng's assistant teacher. Makoto looked at Yorikai with blinking eyes, chatting with Yokiid while the students were training. Yifeng, how did you become so powerful? Okay. Makoto looked at Yokiid and said, you're a shadow doppelganger, right? Yifeng frowned and said, what's wrong with the shadow doppelganger? The shadow avatar is very dissatisfied. He is a shadow avatar and dignified. This Black Changji actually looked down on himself? Seeing Yifeng's shadow doppelganger's reaction, Makoto was stunned for a moment and said with a smile, I'm sorry, I'm just curious, mainly because Yifeng's shadow avatar is too real, I can't see it. Of course the shadow avatar is real. At this time, the 7th and 9th shifts were divided into winners and losers. After the adventure of the Land of Water, the cooperation of the 7th class was simply earth-shaking. Moreover, taking the soil to the eye of the riding wheel is the most important factor in the victory of the 7th class. Yefeng also did not expect that he completely changed the trajectory of Obito's life. Obito, who now has the Sharingan, is the eldest brother of the 7th class. As for Kakashi, well, no matter how genius you are still not as good as the blood succession limit, and the Hokage world is such a reality. No matter how strong your ninjutsu talent is, how about being able to create your own Thunder Chidori? In the face of the illusion of riding chakra, you should kneel or kneel. In addition to special physiques such as Night Maple, immune control is excluded. Therefore, Uchiha Ban's loss to Senjuju is not only a matter of strength, but mainly because Madara was restrained a little miserably. You say that this intercolumn cell is very unreasonable. It was Mu Dun who said yes, and as a result, the illusion immunity was counted, and even the ignition could be immunized. The Uchiha clan is famous for its fire, and Band is definitely the strongest of the Uchiha clan, and he can't win between the Thousand Hand Pillars, which shows that the fire is of little use to the Thousand Hand Pillars. After the two shifts, the Night Maple Shadow Doppelganger began to comment. As Feng, who inherited all the techniques between the Thousand Hand Pillars, don't say comment on these little farts. Even if you reviews the 3 generations of Hokage, they are all qualified. Makoto Uchiha also looked at Yokoide very curiously, wondering how Yokoide would point out these students. In Uchiha Makoto's opinion, these students are very good. Uchiha Obito, Kakashi, Terumi, Yamato are no worse than her. As a medical ninja, Rin's role is also very large. As for the two teak doors, they may still be very restrained, so they don't play too well. Kakashi, I just looked, your speed is good, but one thing is not good, that is, it is too urgent. If you can complete the action of the force, the effect will be better, don't worry, your teammates will help you drag. Yes, teacher. Obito, there is nothing to say. Using illusion on such an occasion is bullying. You are practicing fire escape. If my guess is correct, you haven't learned fire yet. Obito suddenly blushed, and just after being proud for a while, he was debunked by Feng. Teacher, what are you talking nonsense? I am very angry. Is it? Hee, go back and practice well. Night Maple is also not here to debunk the soil. Uchiha Makoto looked at Yokoide in surprise. Yokoide guessed this. How could he see that Obito would not escape? According to Mayu, you are a two-blood successor boundary. Don't just use boiling. Two teak doors, your right leg is injured, right? The two teak doors said in surprise. Teacher, how do you know? The strength of your kick just now is not right. If your right foot is okay, you should be able to compete for victory. After a round of pointing, everyone benefited a lot. Uchiha Makoto directly turned into a fangirl, looking at Feng with admiration, feeling that Feng was too powerful. The Shimura clan, the Mito clan, and the Dormitory clan have basically been released back into their own territory. Everything has been checked. All the 3 major families involved in breaking the law were all demoted to shinobi, and all public service positions were abolished, and at the same time, the 3 major families, each family compensated 10 million taels to Konoha, and Konoha was used as a special fund for the future ninja school, specifically for the education of ordinary people. Feng's operation gained the favor of many villagers and middle and lower-level ninjas. The Shimura clan, the Mito clan, and the people of the Dormitory clan were thus sent back by the Uchiha Guard to lead the team themselves. The Uchiha family was secretly happy for this. It had always been other families who had been guarding their Uchiha family, and they had already had opinions from the Uchiha clan. Now, the Uchiha family can in turn supervise these 3 major families. The Uchiha clan also had a lot more favorable impressions of Feng, and the high level even felt that if Yokoide could become the position of Hokage, it might be a new beginning for the development of the Uchiha clan. Besides, Feng is not married now, although he already has his fiancée Jiyoshinai, but the Uchiha family still feels that there is a chance. At the same time, the Hyuga clan, and even the Akimichi clan, wanted to use the beauty meter on Yokoide. Feng's shadow avatar in the administration department saw the huge beauty of the Akimichi family and almost sprayed when he drank water. The Night Maple body, on the other hand, sleeps at home. He lay on Jiyoshinai's lap, feeling the faint fragrance of the girl. Jiyoshinai's small hand touched Feng's head, and his face was slightly red and hot. Why is this person so lazy and letting the shadow doppelganger do everything? But you can always accompany yourself. Jiyoshinai feels too happy and happy. Are you leaving the day after tomorrow? Feng nodded and said, yes, I really don't understand what Yanin village is afraid of, so I don't dare to come, and I have to change the meeting place to the country of soup. Jiyoshinai snorted and laughed. Of course. You killed 3 generations of water shadows, killed Tuanzong, and killed the 7 people of the ninja knife. These news have all spread. Even the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow, who claim to be invincible, must be very cautious with you. Originally, the The mission came to Konoha to talk, but now it has been changed to the country of soup between the two countries. There are very many small countries like Yonokuni between two big countries, and the meaning of the existence of these small countries is often to serve as a buffer zone between large countries and avoid excessive direct conflicts between two major powers. But sometimes, such buffers are useless. Just like when Jiyoshinai was robbed before, the three generations of Thunder Shadow directly crossed the country of soup and entered the border of the country of fire. And the second time, the third generation of Thunder Shadow chased in again and was beaten back by the third generation of Hokage. This time, the meeting place between Yunin Village and Konoha Village was in Yonokuni. The mission on Konoha's side was naturally led by Yikid. Feng, the choice of the mission, have you chosen it well? Feng smiled, touched Jiyoshinai's soft little hand and said, how about taking you to the country of soup to feel the local mixed soup pool? Jiyoshinai suddenly blushed and glared at Feng in shame. Time flew by, and 2 days passed like that. In the Hokage office, the three generations of Hokage Ape Flying Sun / are listening to the report of the ninja of the Dark Division. Lord Hokage, Lord Kiki Shuamao has sent a letter. The changes that have occurred in Shine Village in the past 2 days are likely to be related to the three generations of Wind Shadows. According to the temptation of Lord Chimu Shuamao, the information obtained is that the third generation of Wind Shadows has disappeared. The third generation of Hokage was smoking a cigarette, suddenly stopped, looked at the dark ninja and said, the third generation of Kazekage is missing? You know, as the three generations of the Wind Shadow of a village, there must be more than one person around. There must be guards. Even if the Ape Flying Sun cuts himself, there will always be some dark shinobi hidden around. If there is really any emergency, it can definitely transmit the news back to the Konoha high level. It would not be said that it was a disappearance for no reason. The disappearance of the shadow of a village is a big deal. Such a situation has never happened in the entire ninja world. So, is there a change in the sand shinobi on the border of the Land of Wind? Report Naruto-sama. Now the dominance of the sand-hidden village has fallen into the hands of the Chiyo clan, and now on the border between the Land of Wind and the Land of Fire, the number of shinobi is increasing. Our speculation is due to the fact that the Chiyo clan once had a hatred with our Konoha village. Even they may suspect that this disappearance of the three generations of Wind Shadows is likely to be the Black Hand under Konoha, and in order to divert domestic contradictions, it is very likely that a war will be launched. When Apefei Richo heard this, he shook his head helplessly. Indeed, not long ago, the three generations of Water Shadow died at the hands of Yikid, which is clear to the entire ninja world. This has not been seen in the ninja world for so many years. A special shinobi killed the shadow. Then, the lives on Yifeng's body became more famous than the other. It is not impossible for the Sandine village to suspect that the three generations of Wind Shadows are also the Black Hands under the Night Maple. Now there are rumors outside that Konoha village specializes in training top killers. 5 years ago, Konoha White Fan banner Kishuo Shigeru assassinated Chiyo's son and daughter-in-law. Now, Feng is even more fierce and directly assassinates the three generations of Water Shadow. Sarutobi looked at the Dark Ninja and said, so, is Night Maple setting off now? Report Naruto-sama, Lord Yokuid has already set off. Who's coming from the mission? In addition to Lord Yokuid, there are Uzumaki Kuzuna, Kakashi, Uchiha Obito, Rin, and Wave Feng Shueimon. Ape Fei frowned. I heard that the 7th class is all geniuses. It's good to take them to see it, but what about Jiyoshinai? Why her? Lord Yefeng said, take a break with Jiyoshinai by the way, and soak in the hot spring. Ape Flying Sun was suddenly speechless. What about Bufeng Shuimen? Do you need so many people? Well, Lord Yefeng said that in case of a fight, Lord Watergate will carry the corpse relatively quickly. The country of soup. Yefeng had just entered the country of soup, and the system immediately appeared. Ding. Based on the current situation of the host, give 3 choices. Option 1. Secretly bring Jioshina to visit the most famous mixed bath pool in Yonokuni. Reward. Jiyoshinai good feeling plus 10, S-level ninjutsu. Immortal rebirth. Option 2. Secretly bring Uchiha Makoto to visit the most famous mixed bath pool in Unokuni. Reward: Uchiha Makoto liking +10, S-level ninjutsu. Self-rebirth. Option 3. Generously invite everyone to visit the most famous mixed bath pool in Unokuni. Rewards: S-class psychic inheritance. Myoki Mountain, Kushina good feeling +10, Uchiha Makoto good feeling +10. They are all S-class rewards, but in comparison, what Feng wants most is the S-class psychic inheritance, Nyamu Mountain. Speaking of which, he also has an S-class psychic inheritance, Longdi Cave. What if they were all passed on in the 3 major psychic inheritance places? Feng was full of curiosity. In contrast, S-level ninjutsu immortal reincarnation and S-level ninjutsu self-rebirth, Feng is not too cold. Immortal reincarnation is the ninjutsu of the Great Snake Pill transferring the spirit to someone else's body, so as to obtain eternal life, which Feng does not need. Self-rebirth is to use one's own life as a medium to surpass the forbidden art of death, and Feng does not need it either. So, Feng led everyone to the door of the famous mixed bath pool. The big sign reads, Mixed Bath. Jiyoshi Nai blushed and glared at Feng. She originally thought that Feng was joking, and actually brought her to the mixed bath. Just bring her here. Is it bad to come secretly? So many people together. What does Feng want to do? Uchiha Makoto also blushed, and also secretly glanced at Yikid, thinking to himself that Yikid would not call himself along. At this time, such a picture suddenly appeared in Uchiha Makoto's mind, and Jiyoshina said a little shyly, Makoto, Yokid and I are going to go to the hot spring to take a bath. Do we want to go together? Makoto suddenly blushed even more. Jiyoshi Nai wouldn't really call himself that, so should he agree or agree? Kakashi glanced at Yokid speechlessly. Yokid-sensei, what does this mean? Lin blushed a little. If the teacher invited her, would she refuse it? Uchiha Obito said a little embarrassed, Teacher, this is not good, right? Saying that, he also secretly looked at Lin. Don't look at them, are all little fart children. The children of the Hokage are precocious, and when they see that it is a mixed bath pool, they suddenly blush. What's going on in your head? Then, take the soil. Do you want to go in and see? Obito twisted and said, it's not impossible to go in and take a look. Feng immediately said, Boss, let's go in and take a look. Saying that, Feng gave the money. Obito was suddenly excited. Do you really want to go in? He actually bathed with Rin in the soup pool. It's exciting to think about. But there's Yokid-sensei and Watergate-sensei and Kakashi, It's uncomfortable to take the soil. Then, 10 minutes later, Obito came out with a confused look. Feng said with a smile on his face, Obito, now that the tour is over, then let's go to the venue. Kushina, Uchiha Makoto, and Rin all burst out laughing. Feng teased Obito. Obito looked depressed. My clothes were changed, and you told me to go again? What am I? Follow Teacher Watergate to study well. Yikid patted Obito's shoulder. In this way, Obito was taken away full of resentment. Also a little depressed in the heart is the wave of feng shui men who are righteous gentlemen on the surface and inside. Although it is said that feng shui men is a very decent gentleman, he saw Feng and Jiyoshi, as well as Uchiha Makoto entering the bathing pool, and he felt a little envious and jealous in his heart. It only took a while that the wave feng shui men remembered. It doesn't make sense. Why did Uchiha Makoto also go in? Also, Feng is the representative of the mission. He doesn't go to the venue? Why lead the team yourself? Thinking of this, feng shui men felt more resentment in his heart. In the soup pond, Jiyoshina and Uchiha Makoto, one red long straight, the other black long straight, the two wrapped in bath towels, red faces appeared in front of Yikid. Kushina also grabbed Makoto Uchiha's small hand, a little nervous. Makoto Uchiha was also nervous. She really didn't expect that Jiyoshina really asked her to take a bath together. In fact, Feng didn't expect that he originally only wanted to call Jiyoshina and the two worlds. I don't know if Jiyoshina was too shy, and as a result, he pulled Uchiha Makoto over. In this case, what was originally a mixed bath scene between two people became three people. Happiness came a little suddenly. Yokaid is chartered today, so there is no one else except Yokaid and Kushina, as well as Makoto Uchiha. Yefeng squatted next to the soup pool and scooped up some water. The water temperature was slightly hot. The soup was faintly white, exuding a faint sulfur smell. It was really a very excellent soup pool. It's really the country of soup. Come and soak. Kushina and Uchiha Makoto both nodded shyly. Yifeng suddenly felt that this was also quite good. An hour later, the meeting place between Konoha Village and Yunin Village was in a newly built conference room. Feng Shuimen, with the 7th class, was meeting with a delegation of Yunin Village. The mission of Yunin Village, headed by the younger generation of 3 generations of Reishadow's son Ai and his righteous brother Karabi, also has a female secretary, but not the black sister Azabui. It seems that the habit of Ai's secretary was acquired when he was young. Sure enough, we'll play. Now, Ai is very angry and glares angrily at Feng Shuimen. What does Konoha Village mean? A yellow hair plus 3 little fart children to talk? Then this yellow hair also said that the principal had not yet come. Lin looked at the big man in front of her, a little afraid. This person is so fierce. Obito saw Ai so fierce and also glared back. At this time, the atmosphere in the conference room was a little strange. As the minutes passed, no one on either side spoke. Obito couldn't help but whisper, "Teacher Watergate, Teacher Yefeng hasn't come yet?" Feng Shuimen glanced at Obito and said, "The time hasn't arrived yet." At this time, Ai sneered and said, Yefeng hasn't arrived yet. It seems that Konoha doesn't pay attention to our meeting at all. What does Konoha mean now? Feng Shuimen was about to speak, when suddenly, the door opened. Ai saw Yefeng accompanied by Gyoshina and Makoto, and his expression suddenly froze. This guy can play better than me. I match as secretary, you match too? Yefeng smiled slightly, first letting Gyoshina and Makoto, who were flushed because of the bathing pool, sit down, before smiling and saying, "We're not late, are we?" Obito looked at Yokaid, and then at the blushing Gyoshina and Makoto, and suddenly thought to himself, how nice it would be if I could hug left and right. If I can be as powerful as Teacher Yufome, can I also be one Lin on the left and one on the right? It was originally a pure love little boy's Obito, but suddenly it was crooked by Yufome. Ai sneered and said, "You're Yufome, right? I heard that this night maple is very strong. Now it looks unremarkable. Could it be a deliberate pretense from Konoha Village? In any case, it is good to lure out the Yefeng who is now in Konoha Village, which is known as the strongest of the young generation, and the second-ranked Feng Shuimen. This time, the 4th generation of Ai and Karabi are going to drag Night Maple and Watergate. This meeting in Yunin Village is a pretense. They do not intend to negotiate to get back the 2 tails and the amber bottle, but they intend to grab it hard. The real killing move lies in Konoha Village. According to the report of the spy, he also has a mission to leave again. He has not been in Konoha Village for many years, and I heard that he is looking for some child of destiny. Orochimaru was also in the laboratory outside Konoha Village recently and did not appear in Konoha Village. As for Tsunade, after the Second Ninja World War, he had a fear of blood, which was not enough to be afraid. Coupled with the recent turmoil in Konoha, the White Fang is not in Konoha either. Now after luring out the Night Maple and the Wave Feng Shui Gate, all that Konoha can fight is only Ape Fei Ri to cut down one person. And on the side of Yunin Village, the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow, as well as the 8-tailed human pillar force, should have also lurked near Konoha Village. In addition to the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow and the 8-tailed human pillar force, there are also thousands of Yunin Village ninjas. As one of the 5 great powers, Yunin Village is very popular in ninjutsu, that is, ninjutsu and physical arts are combined. For example, in previous generations of Thunder Shadows, their bodies can even withstand the damage caused by space tears, which is very terrifying. Therefore, the ninjas of Yunin Village basically use thunder and lightning attributes, forcibly stimulate their bodies, repeatedly stimulate cells, and constantly strengthen their personal speed. These 1,000 Yunin village ninjas are enough to break through the defenses of Konoha village and take Neo and Amber Jing bottle away. Thinking of this, the fourth generation of AI smiled. At this time, Yifeng knocked on the table, looked at AI and said, "Yunin village is not kind. You even play stealing the house?" AI's smile suddenly stiffened. Karabi's eyes next to him are all glaring. Groove. The faces of the people in the embassy behind him changed drastically. Similarly, the people on Yifeng's side all looked at Yifeng. Steal home. In the forest of death, not far outside Konoha village, thousands of people gathered. The reason why they were able to gather so close to Konoha was because along the way, all the defenders on this side of Konoha village were killed. Until here in the Death Forest, thousands of people in Yunin village met unexpected people. Yifeng's shadow doppelganger, only one person, stopped in front of thousands of people. He looked at the 3-generation Thunder Shadow, who was as tall as an ox in front of him, and the 8-tailed man Julie with half black hair and half white hair, and smiled slightly. "You guys are here?" As soon as these words came out, the faces of everyone in Yunin village changed. Although Yifeng was alone, it scared everyone in Yunin village. Yifeng's sudden appearance made everyone in Yunin village wonder if these behaviors of their own had actually been discovered a long time ago. Could it be that Konoha's side deliberately lured the enemy deeper? Go and die. Without waiting for Liang to speak, a team of Shangnin hidden in the shadows had already rushed up. They know that the night maple in front of them is to kill the 7 people of the ninja knife in succession, the 3 generations of water shadows, and the new generation of Konoha powerhouses of the group. As long as they kill him, then they can become famous. Shake the entire ninja world and become the hero of Yunin village. Even if the gap in strength is too big, I believe that this person in front of him cannot kill himself. After all, there are thousands of companions behind him. Even a pile can pile him to death. They hid their breath and instantly appeared around Yifeng, and the kuwu they held in their hands suddenly burst out with terrifying thunder light. Lay done. Supersonic Thunder Saber. This ninjutsu injects thunder chakra into the knife to enhance the sharpness of the knife. The use of lightning to trigger high-frequency vibration waves so that it has a penetrating power beyond the wind. It is a necessary assassination technique for the shadow of Yunin village. Yifeng looked at the 6 people who suddenly surrounded him with a smile, and suddenly his figure flashed, dodging the attack that they came almost at the same time. The 3rd generation of Thunder Shadow frowned. What a speed! This thought flashed with electric flint, and the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows immediately widened their eyes and roared, "Hurry up and back off." Huh? The 6 Shangnin who surrounded him were slightly stunned. What was the situation? They subconsciously looked at the ground, because Yifeng was the bloodline inheritor between the 1,000 hand pillars, relying on the brilliant wooden ninjutsu with one hand. He directly killed the 3 generations of water shadows, which should not be underestimated. However, Yifeng used the water dunjitsu of the original water shadow White Lotus. Water and iron cannon art, strafing. Passed down from generation to generation by the Oni Lantern family, the secret ninjutsu uses a hand in the shape of a pistol and shoots a bullet-like liquid from the tip of the index finger through the enemy. And not a single body, but a reinforced version of the water iron cannon, which frequently and intensively fires the water iron cannon at the front with both hands to strafe the enemy. Swish! 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 In an instant, the 6 upper shinobi who attacked Yifeng were shot into a hornet's nest and fell to the ground, blood flowing all over the ground. Fine death. Righteous Thunder is angry with Thunder Axe. The 3 generations of Thunder Shadows suddenly rioted with thunder light all over their bodies, bursting out with unprecedented killing intent, and the legs were wrapped in terrifying thunder light, jumping high, from top to bottom, directly slashing towards Yifeng. Rumble. The 3rd generation of Thunder Shadows smashed on Yifeng's body, but found that it was a phantom. Yifeng's speed was faster than that of the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow, and he dodged the Righteous Thunder and Angry Thunder Axe of the 3rd generation of Thunder Shadow, and rushed to the 1,000-man team in front. Stop him! I saw Yefeng rushing into Yunin 1,000 people wrong, as if he was not facing 1,000 ninjas, but 1,000 lambs to be slaughtered. Looking at Yifeng, who rushed into the crowd, the first feeling of the ninjas in Yunin village was a little confused. What's going on? Is he coming to send him to death? In the next second, immediately there were 10, 20, 30 people. I don't know how many people flew out directly upside down. Refreshing. Don't look at the super strength of the 1,000-hand pillar Muduan. In fact, his ninja art is also top-notch. The 3 generations of Liang looked back and were all stunned. Yefeng rushed into the crowd, like a tiger into a flock, either flying out upside down or lying down directly. No one was the enemy of Yifeng's move. This guy is also too exaggerated, right? A punch that looks ordinary, a kick that looks ordinary, but the power is terrifying. Get out of the way all. The 3 generations of Thunder Shadow roared angrily, and thousands of ninjas retreated one after another. However, the enemies retreated one after another, and Yefeng immediately chased after them. The speed of the people in Yunin village naturally couldn't keep up with Yifeng. Yifeng kept jumping into the crowd, dozens of people, more than a dozen people, all knocked down with 1 punch and 1 kick. Bang, bang, bang. With 1 enemy 1,000. The battle of pure body art. Yifeng's side kicked and flew one, and when he turned around, he punched another one. Rushed up, and the Zongnin in front of him widened his eyes and kept retreating, so frightened that he couldn't speak. Yifeng's figure grew larger and larger, occupying all his field of vision. With a punch, Nakazu fell backwards, and Yokeid stepped on his head and jumped into a new crowd. Because of the retreat of the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow, the ninjas of 1,000 Clouds' hidden village scattered into small pieces, and the lineup of more than 10 people was broken by Yefeng one by one. Yefeng feels like it's warming up now. I saw Yifeng fall from the sky and jump into the retreating crowd. A kick hit the ground, shocking the 3 ninjas around, directly seriously injured and fell to the ground, unable to get up. Go and die. An upper ninja used a long knife, using the thunder light that burst out of the thunder, stopped the long knife, and slashed towards Yifeng. Yuki turned to the side, dodged the long knife of the upper shinobu, pointed at the pistol pose, and faced this upper shinobi. Shangnin's eyes widened, his mouth opened, and before he could say anything, a sharp water gun shot through Shangnin's chest. Shangnin covered his chest and fell directly backwards. Abominable. The 8-tailed man Julie Fukai was furious, and in just 1 minute, Yefeng beat at least 100 people. If this continues, Yunin village has not yet attacked Konoha village, and the entire army will be destroyed. 1 man is against 1,000 people, proper shadow-level strength. The news from the outside is right. But I didn't see him using Muduan. This is not the inheritor of the bloodline of the 1,000 Hands. It must be a pretense of Konoha village, but it is actually the inheritor of the bloodline between the 2nd generation of the 1,000 Hands. The strongest person in Konoha water is naturally 1,000 Hands. Because of Yifeng's physical skills in this short period of time, as well as the use of water ninjutsu, it has left a deep impact on Fogai and the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow. Let the 3 generations of Leikage and Fokai think that Konoha pit deceived them. This is obviously not the bloodline inheritance between the 1,000-hand pillars, but the blood inheritance between the 1,000 hands. You see how much he walked with water? Without hesitation, Fogai instantly turned into a half-tailed beast, turned into 8 tails, with double horns on his head, and rushed towards Yifeng. At the same time, the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow also rushed towards Yefeng from another direction at an extremely fast speed. The 2 went in opposite directions and raised their right arm at the same time. This is the killing move of their combination of Thunder Shadow and Human Pillar Force AB. Awesome Thunder Plow Hot Knife. The 2 of them used the Thunder Plow Hot Knife one after the other at the same time, so that the enemy has nowhere to run and strangle the enemy. At this time, Yefeng was still constantly killing the ninjas of Yunin village, whether it was lower shinobi, middle shinobi, or upper shinobi. All were treated equally, they were all punched and kicked, and they were directly solved. Yifeng looked back and saw that the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow and the 8-tailed human pillar force AB combination had been activated, and the speed was as fast as lightning. Muduan, the art of the wooden man. The wooden man had just come out of the ground, and the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows and the 8-tailed human pillar force had already smashed on the wooden man's body. Just a little, he strangled Yifeng. The wooden man put Yifeng on his head, allowing Yifeng to dodge this killing move that was enough to kill. Rumble. A bang. The wooden man shattered instantly. This is the terrifying power of the peerless thunder plow hot knife. Yifeng's figure flashed, his head was lowered. He dodged Fokai's attack and drilled into Fokai's stomach, and the 5 fingers of his right hand came out of the gold, wood, water, fire, earth, and 5 elements of chakra, directly inserted in front of Fokai's stomach. Sealing Technique 5 Elements Solution. The 8-tailed chakra of Fokai's half-tailed beast directly formed the tailed beast chakra code, but it still did not block the unsealing of the 5 elements of Yifeng. Yifeng's hand seemed to be inserted into a muddy mess, pushed hard, directly inserted into the deepest part, and pressed on the seal of the stomach of the human pillar inside. This is the experience of subduing all of the 1,000-hand pillars, from 1 tail to 9 tails, and it is clear where the power of the human pillar is sealed. Even if you have the tailed beast chakra cloak, you can still stab it. Poke at the deepest seal. 5 elements unblocked. The seal of the 8 tails is unlocked in an instant. Roar. Fokai's tailed beast Jade was condensing, and it was about to spew out at Yifeng's head, but it suddenly got out of control. Ugh. The half-tailed beast covered his head with both hands and let out a terrifying roar. Even the Konoha village in front of it was shocked. The Uchiha family, who were guarding the door, were still dozing, and suddenly they all stood up one by one. What's going on? In the gloomy woods, a terrifying and evil aura faintly emerged, and the chakra of the vast voyage turned into a long smoke, came out of the woods and swayed against the blue sky and white clouds. 8-tailed chakra appeared madly on Fokai, covering the whole person. When the half-tailed beast is completed and becomes the tailed beast, then Fokage becomes the tailed beast itself. The 3 generations of Thunder Shadows were furious, and their whole bodies erupted with brilliant black thunder and lightning. Go and die. Thunder plow hot knife. Rumble. The figure of the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows flashed, passed through the night maple and directly smashed on the Furke, who was turning into a tailed beast. Bang! This trick hits 2 targets at the same time. However, Yifeng's body turned into a cloud of smoke and slowly dissipated. Everyone's pupils suddenly shrunk. Even if it was the 3rd generation of Lei Ying, they all felt cold in their hearts. Causing them such a big impact, it turned out to be just a shadow doppelganger. "Okay, calm me down." The 3rd generation of Thunder Shadow roared, and when he was about to stop Fogai, he suddenly jumped back. In the sky, the golden light flashed, and the King Kong Rui stick was directly inserted in the position where the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows were originally standing. Bang! A loud bang. A large pit exploded and raised a puff of smoke, and in the smoke, Fogai was howling and he couldn't stop it and directly let Yaoi come out. At the same time, the hair of the 3 generations of Lei Ying stood on end, and an extremely dangerous premonition suddenly rose from his heart. He looked back and saw that the ape flying Sunchop didn't know when it appeared behind him. With a push with both hands, directly pushed the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows into the air. Your hands are making prints at a speed that is difficult for the naked eye to catch up. The name of Dr. Ninja is not a wasted name. Shadow Avatar, split into 5 in an instant. The body, plus 4 shadow bodies, and both hands quickly seal at the same time. Wuduan Dalian Bullet Technique. The main body and the 4 shadow avatars cooperate with each other to use 5 different attributes of fire, thunder, water, earth, and wind to besiege the target at the same time, causing a devastating explosion. Rumble. With a loud noise, the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows fell directly to the ground, and the whole body was entangled with thunder light, but it can be seen that the injury is not light, and many places on the body are already fried with bloody flesh. or they have been burned, frozen, and scratched. The whole body is covered with scars. Retreat. The third generation of Thunder Kage glanced at Sarutobi Hinata very unwillingly, as well as Tsunade behind him, Uzumaki Mito and others, ignoring the furious Yao who had broken the seal, and directly turned around and fled. Sarutobi Hinata wanted to chase, but was attacked by the mad Yao and had no choice but to retreat. However, Yao did not pursue the ape flying sun, but turned his head to pursue the fleeing Yunin village ninja. Thousands of Yunin village ninjas, who were engaged by Feng like this, instantly collapsed into soldiers. What made all the ninjas in Yunin village feel cold was that this was just a shadow avatar of Feng. So how terrifying is the night maple body? Sarutobi squinted as he watched Yaoi pursue the ninja of Yunin village. Feng is right, Yunin village really wants to hit the east. At this moment, another shadow shinobu hurriedly came. Report Naruto-sama, Mito Monitis is out of control. Niao broke the seal and ran away, and now there is chaos in Konoha. Ape Fei cut his eyes and glared. Hurry back. This damn it. Sarutobi cursed angrily, turned and left, followed by Tsunade and Uzumaki Mito. Although Yao is very important, the villagers in the village are more important and first suppress Neo. Thousands of miles away in the country of Yu, where the two village missions met. The fourth generation of AI stared at Feng coldly, and the female secretary next to him patted the table and said, Feng, what do you mean? Since just now, I have been saying that our Yunin village sneaked up on you. Did you deliberately want to make trouble? Do you want to start a war between the two countries, and you can afford this responsibility? Feng suddenly looked at the female secretary, and his fingers formed a pistol-like shape and pointed at the female secretary. Swish! The art of water and iron cannons. A shot directly pierced the heart of the female secretary. The female secretary glared and fell directly. She couldn't figure out until she died why Feng dared to make a move. Everyone was taken aback and looked at Feng in surprise. Feng, what do you mean? The fourth generation of AI's whole body burst out of thunder and lightning, directly blowing up the negotiation table. What do I mean? She talks too much. Feng stood up, pinched his shoulders and said, Okay, don't drag out time with you. I'm going back to catch Yaoi, you guys, just grab it. _ Are we tied up? Ha ha. Thunder, heavy torrent. AI grinned, full of cruelty. A violent and terrifying thunder and lightning raged on his body, wrapping around his body like a python. In the furious thunderbolt, AI's figure turned into a blue lightning bolt that could not be caught by the naked eye, and hammered towards Feng. Everyone in the 7th class suddenly clenched their fists nervously. Feng Shui men even took out the enchanted flying thunder god technique and flew out. Jioshina and Makoto suddenly glared, and the whole person became nervous, and at this time Feng stood in front of them and blocked AI. When they saw Feng's back, they immediately felt very relieved, and they glanced at each other in unison. Night Feng's hand erupted with dazzling thunderlight. Thunder Chidori. Rumble. Two super powerful forces collided together, and a powerful wave of chi centered on the impact site and spread out directly. Rumble. The makeshift venue collapsed in an instant. Where Feng and AI were standing, spiderweb-like cracks instantly appeared, and they continued to spread around. AI's face changed, his arms trembled, and he jerked back several steps. What a strong force! Feng's incomparable strength made AI take several steps back in a row before he could stabilize his body. And Feng's figure stood still in place and did not retreat in the slightest. AI's face was very ugly. Looking at Feng, he didn't expect that his strength was suppressed. Big brother, be careful. Suddenly, Kairabi yelled and suddenly struck. The goal is to use the flying thunder god technique to suddenly teleport to the wave Feng Shui gate behind AI. For the instinctive reaction of the crisis, Feng Shui men quickly turned around. The trajectory of the attack changed instantly, jumped up, originally attacked AI, and immediately attacked towards the Kairabi behind him. AI trusted Kairabi so much that he gave his back to Kairabi, squinting at Night Maple in front of him. This guy is a little weirdly strong. Shui Dan is so strong, and Lei Dan is also so strong. And with a punch against himself, it turned out that he retreated. It proves that the other party, not only is ninjutsu powerful, but even physical skills, I am afraid that they are not weaker than themselves at all, and there is even a possibility. AI didn't want to think about this possibility, but directly struck. The way of ninja lies in facing difficulties. Come on, let me see your strength. Righteous Thunder Shin Fury Thunder Axe. AI Gao jumped high, his feet wrapped in terrifying thunder and lightning, from top to bottom, one kick chopped. This kick can directly trample Shang Shinobi, who is known for his defense, to death. Yifeng squinted his eyes and immediately froze his hands. Flying Thunder God Technique. Bufeng Shuimen, who is fighting with Karabi, is about to open his eyes. Lying Groove, this is the Flying Thunder God Technique. When did Night Maple learn it? Most importantly, Bufeng Shuimen found that Yifeng was even more skilled in using it than himself. It's very shocking. I have never seen the Night Maple use it, but as soon as the Night Maple is used, it shocks everyone. Rumble. Lei Ying's kick of the Righteous Thunder and Anger Thunder Axe smashed into the air, directly smashing the ground out of a deep pit. At this time, Shina and Makoto, who had already protected the 7th class, retreated to the back. At this time, two Inin Shangnin suddenly appeared behind them. Catch them to threaten Yifeng and Bufeng Shuimen. Be careful. Makoto exclaimed, seeing two black shadows flying towards this side. She quickly opened her hands and blocked in front of everyone. At this moment, Yifeng suddenly appeared. Find death. Yifeng looked at the two Inin Murakami Shinobu who attacked, and an icy killing intent flashed in his eyes. Mu done. Birth of the Tree Realm. As soon as Yifeng made a move, it was a thunderous blow. Countless thick roots and vines that suddenly drilled out instantly separated the two upper shinobi. By the time everyone saw it clearly, the two sneak shinobi had been tied into rice dumplings by countless thick roots and vines. AI's eyelids jumped. This guy can even use the Konoha forbidden technique, the Flying Thunder God technique. He already felt that something was wrong. This Night Maple was too strong than they expected. But he has to drag it on, and the longer it drags on, the more successful the plan on his father's side will be. AI didn't know at this time that the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow had been fleeing by a shadow doppelganger of Yifeng. You're strong. I admit that you are the strongest young ninja I have ever met. AI quietly looked at Yifeng and said. Yifeng sneered and said, You are not qualified to evaluate me. Stop playing. After speaking, the Night Maple sealed, countless tree roots and vines swept towards AI. AI looked at the overwhelming trees in front of him, his face sank, there was nowhere to hide. And the other Yunin village ninjas, looking at the terrifying tree realm, were shocked. They are all ninjas of the younger generation, they have never seen the demeanor of the ninja god Thousand Hand Pillar, and now when they see the birth of the tree world, they suddenly feel mysterious and terrifying. Can AI win? Even the closest righteous brother, Kairabi, was not confident in his heart. Or, don't you retreat? Karabi's first reaction was to retreat, but he thought instead that AI would not retreat. Because he is the son of the 3rd generation of Thunder Shadow, that is, the 4th generation of Thunder Shadow, he bears the expectations of the entire Yunin village, so he can't retreat. Since it is impossible to return, it can only be on. Go all the way. Thunderbolt Thunder Plow Hot Knife. He gathered thunder chakra all over his body, like a lightning giant, rushing towards Night Maple at an extremely fast speed. Countless tree roots and vines were directly broken through, and they couldn't stop him at all. When Shina in the back saw it, he couldn't help but exclaim softly, Yifeng, be careful. At this moment, Yifeng's hands quickly froze. Mu done tree boundary wall. A shield formed by multiple wooden vines quickly grew on the ground and stopped in front of AI. Ugh! AI roared angrily and rushed straight up. Rumble. With a loud bang, the tree boundary wall shattered instantly. However, in the next second, AI's arm was about to reach Yifeng's face. Muduan, the art of the wooden man. At this moment, a huge wooden figure suddenly appeared from under Yifeng's feet. AI's lay done. Lei Fever has undergone many rounds of obstruction, and his strength is already insufficient, and he crashed into the wooden man. Rumble. The wooden people have taken 2 steps backwards. But when going backwards, the wooden man has already struck. 2 huge fists hammered directly. Rumble. 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 Like a pile driver, madly hammering AI, directly blowing up a puff of smoke and dust inside. Seeing that AI was about to rush out, suddenly countless roots and vines dragged AI back. Rumble. 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 Everyone looked at it in a cold sweat. After a while, the wooden man stopped. The smoke slowly dispersed. AI's whole person was printed in the ground, printing a large font and smashing the ground directly out of a deep pit. His hands and feet were still tied to the roots, unable to resist. First, AI couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, and the thunder light on his body disappeared instantly. He lost. Karabi and other subordinates were stunned when they saw this scene. Not only on the Yunin village side, but even everyone on the side of Konoha village was stunned. The son of the 3rd generation of Thunder Shadow, destined to be the 4th generation of Thunder Shadow AI, the proud son of heaven, actually lost in the hands of Yufeng. Hammered alive by a wooden man? AI shouted weakly, "Karabi, let's go." "No, big brother. Run, or it's too late." The other Shainin of Yunin village quickly pulled Karabi and ran, and said, "Lord Karabi, Lord Liang will definitely be able to exchange hostages for Lord AI." Yufeng suddenly smiled. Where did Liang come from as a hostage? Watergate, tie up AI. Karabi's eyes widened, and his eyes could kill, but he was still forcibly pulled away by the other Yunin Murakami Shinobu, leaving AI alone, who was seriously injured. Oh. Bufeng Shuimen was depressed. He didn't catch anything. AI was taken by Yufeng. Karabi ran away again. It was really the life of a coolie. Yufeng patted Bufeng Shuimen's shoulder and said, "Watergate, AI will trouble you. And the 2 ninjas over there, as well as this secretary, are all our credit this time. Kakashi, Obito, you 2 go help Watergate-sensei." Kakashi and Obito said speechlessly, "Oh." When it was coolie again, Kakashi and Obito were speechless. After speaking, Yufeng sealed the seal and divided into 4 shadow doppelgangers, and these 4 shadow doppelgangers quickly disappeared into the jungle. "Yufeng, do you still want to chase them?" Yufeng shook his head and said, "It's not to chase them, but to chase the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows." And catch Yao. When everyone heard Yufeng's words, their eyes widened. Catch 3 generations of Thunder Shadows? That's too big a goal, right? But when they think about it, they think it's not impossible. After all, the 3 generations of Water Shadow also died in the hands of Yufeng, not to mention, just now AI was in the hands of Yufeng, not like a father beating his son. Perhaps the 3rd generation of Thunder Shadow is not Yufeng's opponent? Everyone shook their heads, not daring to think further. Because it's incredible. Just when Yefeng turned around and prepared to block the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow and Yao, an old man in a white robe suddenly appeared on the chaotic battlefield of the Yao riot. The ninja of Yunin village was frantically fleeing, and when he saw the white-robed old man who suddenly appeared, he was stunned for a moment and ignored it and continued to escape. Roar! Yao roared angrily and rushed to the old man's side. Suddenly, the old man's eye of reincarnation opened. The old man is none other than Uchiha. In just a few days, Uchiha took back one of his reincarnation eyes. The sudden rise of the night maple made Uchiha not dare to put the 2 reincarnation eyes on Nagato's body. At least for now, Uchiha needs a reincarnation eye. Magic. Directly controlled Yoi. He took a deep breath and made the riskiest decision of his life. The last equally risky decision was to resurrect himself with Izanagi in the Battle of the Valley. This time, he shot with the body. No way, Yufeng is too strong. Madara can't let Yufeng grow like this anymore. The shadow avatar is not Yufeng's opponent, only the body has shot. Psychic Arts Outer Path Image. A super huge humanoid deadwood with 9 eyes without pupils appeared directly in front of everyone. All the Yunin village ninjas looked back and were stunned. What's that? Under their terrified eyes, this terrifying giant deadwood, with a chuck zipper out of his mouth, directly trapped Yaoi and dragged towards his side. Yao was unable to resist because of Uchiha's illusion, and in less than a minute, he was directly eaten by the golem of the outer path. And the 9 eyes on the forehead of the outer path golem, one of the eyes, suddenly opened, forming a pupil. Everyone is going crazy. Yao is the symbol of Yunin village and was actually eaten by this thing that doesn't know what kind of monster. Uchiha immediately cancelled the psychic, and the huge outer path golem disappeared in an instant. Then, under everyone's terrified and puzzled gazes, Uchiha suddenly struck. Fire escape, fire extinguished. Uchiha spat out a large flame like seawater in front of him, and all the ninjas in front of him were instantly burned to ashes. Ahem. Uchiha suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, his face gloomy, and looked in the direction of Konoha. And the 9 tails and the 2 tails. Rumble. In the middle of Konoha village, an earth-shattering explosion suddenly erupted. After the sound of the explosion, Neo Brigade, the evil-tailed beast chakra that emits blue, appears above the prison in Konoha village. The village prison, which was originally for felons, collapsed in an instant and turned into ruins. The prisoners inside fled from inside in horror. Many of them have thought about jailbreaking, but they didn't expect it to be jailbroken like this now. The prisons have collapsed, and more than half of the people are killed. And half of the people who escaped were directly killed by the rat-tailed ball jade that suddenly burst out of the 2-tailed brigade. In the prison area of the village, it has completely become a forbidden place. Even the dark ninjas, they are on the periphery, and they dare not enter easily, for fear of being attacked by the Nitails brigade. The tailed beast completely broke the seal, not a shadow-level powerhouse, and did not dare to act rashly. Roar! The 2-tailed brigade howled again, and the ape-flying sun chopped his face gloomy, and his figure was fast, and he was flying towards the 2-tailed in front. Damn, how can the seal of Menyen be broken? Someone must have deliberately broken it. Who is it? Is it still Uchiha? Sarutobi Hinata slashed behind, followed by Tsunade, as well as Uzumaki Mido, and the dark part of the group of Naka Shinobu and Kami Shinobu. At this time, the guards of the Uchiha clan also quickly appeared around the place of the incident, also looking at Niao from afar, not daring to enter. And when Sarutobi saw the Uchiha clan, he immediately had a sense of foreboding in his heart, remembering the words of his teacher Senju, and quickly turned back and said, "Tsunade, let the Uchiha clan go back to their own territory and stand by." Tsunade was slightly stunned before reacting, quickly nodding and saying, "Yes, sensei." Saying that, Tsunade quickly ran towards the Uchiha clan, bringing smoke and dust along the way. When the Uchiha clan heard that Naruto-sama asked them to go back to the territory to stand by, everyone's faces showed incomprehension and anger. Naruto-sama, even the Konoha high level, is that how they don't trust their Uchiha clan? As a young talent of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Fugaku was also at a loss. He couldn't understand why at this time, the high level of Konoha wanted to guard against their Uchiha clan. Why, exactly? Uchiha Fugaku's original focus on Konoha's ideas suddenly appeared a rift that could not be healed. I was bent on protecting Konoha, but what did the Konoha high level think of him? No way. Tsunade is the princess of the Senju clan, the high apprentice of Naruto-sama, or the high ranking of Konoha, and at her repeated requests, the Uchiha clan returns to their territory in dissatisfaction. Back in his own territory, he can't even go out, so he can only watch the movement in the village from a distance in his territory. At this time, the territory of the Uchiha clan was still in the village. The butterfly of Feng fanned its wings, and Danzo burped before he could relocate the territory of the Uchiha clan outside the village. Even so, dissatisfaction still grew in the hearts of the Uchiha clan. Sometimes, evil comes from mistrust. On the battlefield side of the Niue Brigade, the battle is nearing its end. The half-tailed beastly Uzumaki Mido, wrapped in a 9-tailed chakra, used the King Kong blockade to completely suppress the 2-tailed brigade. Letting the 2 tails roar, they couldn't move. Apefly, hurry up and seal the 2 tails. Apefei looked embarrassed. Who will be the human pillar force? In front of him, this is a tailed beast that has escaped from the trap, and Mido Menyen is probably dead. Although it is said that Ape Flying Sun Chopper is known as Dr. Ninja and is very proficient in any ninjutsu, compared to Knight Feng's S-Class character card Uzumaki Ashina. The sealing technique of Ape Flying Sun Chopper can only be regarded as a primary school student level. Now with the ability of apes to fly and slash, if you want to seal the two-tailed brigade again, you must find a qualified human pillar force. Otherwise, the seal will most likely be unsuccessful. The original human pillar of the two tails, the two teak doors are not dead. Fast? Yes. Hurry up. I'm running out of support. Ape Fei immediately turned around and said, "Where are the two teak doors?" Soon, the two teak doors were beheaded by the Ape Flying Sun. She saw the second tail and brigade. Shaking, she was going to be re-injected into the second tail and become a human pillar force? It was hard to get rid of the identity of the human pillar force, no longer become a super weapon specially designed by the village to fight the enemy village, and now it is going to become a human pillar force again? Just as Sarutobi Hinata smiled, suddenly a figure appeared behind Mito Uzumaki. The arrival of Uchiha surprised everyone. Who is this? The first reaction of Sarutobi Hinata when he saw Uchiha was dangerous, very dangerous. "Uzumaki Mito-sama, watch your back." Ape Flying Sun shouted. Uzumaki Mito was stunned for a moment, turned his head and looking at the old face in front of him. His bangs covered his left eye, and the right eye turned out to be a kaleidoscope riding wheel eye, and he was suddenly shocked. The Uchiha family? Who's this? How is it a little familiar? For the first time, Uzumaki Mito did not recognize Uchiha Madara. After all, 40 years have passed, and Uchiha's face has aged and his appearance has changed a lot. Besides, everyone thought that Uchiha was dead. Psychic, King Kong is like a stick. The Ape Flying Sun Chop immediately sealed. Under the sunlight, a large golden stick fell from the sky and smashed into Uchiha. However, Uchiha's movements were faster, and the kaleidoscope chakra I made Uzumaki Mito instantly fall into illusion. In the fantasy realm, Uzumaki Mito once again returns to the battle of the Valley of the End. That terrifying man of the Uchiha clan, in the fantasy realm, used the power suit Susanoo to arm the Nine Tails and equipped Susanoo's armor on the Nine Tails, so that the Nine Tails had overwhelming strength and the absolute defense of Susanoo's armor. This time, the Nine Tails of the mighty Susanoo tore apart the immortal magic wood between the 1,000-hand pillars, and thousands of hands were on top. Uchiha Madara, the man's chakra eyes, was reflected in Uzumaki Mito's mind. Uzumaki Mito suddenly stirred his spirit, revealing a terrified look. This is Uchiha Madara. How can it be? He didn't die. Ugh. Uzumaki Mito suddenly felt the pain of her stomach tearing, which pulled her from the illusion back to reality. Looking down, Uchiha's 5 fingers were deeply inserted into the seal of the Nine Tails. 5 elements unblocked. Bang! With a loud bang, the King Kong Rui stick did not hit Uchiha's spot and was dodged by Uchiha's spot. Then Uchiha unlocked the seal of the Nine Tails. Ugh! Uzumaki Mito screamed, completely uncontrollable, and the evil nine-tailed chakra instantly overflowed from the place of the seal. Uzumaki Mito-sama. Ape Fei rushed up quickly, but was frightened by Uchiha's fire. Fire extinguished? Ape Fei looked at the overwhelming flames in front of him and directly froze. Water escape. Water array pillar. Chakra gathers behind his throat and spits out a large water ball towards the front, and when it lands, the water ball will spread out in all directions and use it to suppress the fire ninjutsu. However, it is clear that the Ape Flying Sun is only the top, not the top. Dr. Ninja Ape Flying Sun Chop. The 5 elements of ninjutsu are proficient, the so-called mastery, is the will, but each of them is not the top, can only be said to be one of the top. In this case, in the face of the top fire, the water escape of the Ape Flying Sun was directly suppressed by the fire. Naruto-sama. At this time, multiple dark ninjas rushed up and at the same time used water ninjutsu on Uchiha Madara. Nope. Hurry up and go. Ape Fei slashed his eyes, and he couldn't stand it. Seeing the raging fire surging up, The ape flying sun chop suddenly had a deep sense of powerlessness. When did such a strong old man appear in the ninja world? With the birth of Feng, how to feel that the entire ninja world is different. Ape Flying Sun / immediately used the teleportation technique to dodge the fire that he could not suppress. Rumble. With a loud bang, the place where the Ape Flying Sun chopped the original standing turned into a sea of fire, and the dark ninjas behind were all burned into black charcoal. And Sarutobi Hinata's face was solemn, looking at Uchiha, who was high above. His right hand did not have time to dodge, and he was already burned. "Teacher, are you all right?" Tsunade landed solemnly on the side of the Ape Flying Sun Chop and immediately used the palm cactus on the Ape Flying Sun Chop. The burn on the right hand of the Ape Flying Sun was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. But his body couldn't help but tremble, and he looked at the mysterious and powerful old man Uchiha in front of him and said, "Who are you?" Uchiha stood on a high place, proudly looking down at the Ape Flying Sun, and under the sunlight, a long shadow was reflected. The reincarnation eye covered by the left bangs was also revealed. I, Uchiha Madara. Behind him stood two-tailed beasts, two-tailed and brigade, nine-tailed and 9 llamas. They opened their eyes at the same time. They are all chakra eyes. When everyone present saw such a scene, they suddenly felt a chill in their hearts, and their bodies couldn't help but tremble. Sarutobi said in horror, You are Uchiha Madara?" Uchiha smiled slightly, and suddenly his figure flashed, dodging the sudden attack of the shadow shinobu behind him. One hand directly lifted the attacker. "Do you want to dance too?" __. At the same time, on the border of the Land of Fire, 3 generations of Thunder Shadow, with the remnants of less than 100 defeated soldiers, are fleeing in the direction of the Land of Thunder. The 3 generations of Liang looked gloomy, and this attack failed too completely. It was actually played like this by a shadow doppelganger. It's his own carelessness, otherwise, he won't let Feng take advantage. Yao is still in Konoha. Konoha, I'll be back again. Give me another sight to Feng. I'm going to tear him apart. The 3rd generation of Liang gritted his teeth in anger, and suddenly, the ninja of Yunin village behind him exclaimed, "Lord Liang." Huh? The 3 generations of Liang looked up. There was a person standing just in front of him. Take a closer look, isn't it, Feng? Night Maple. The 3rd generation of Thunder Shadows trembled with anger, and without saying a word, his whole body directly erupted with brilliant thunder light. The whole body is in a state of thunder and lightning, and the hair is about to stand on end. The other Yunin village ninjas immediately retreated, leaving him with a large open space. Feng looked at the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows rushing over with a smile. Lay done, Black Thunder. This is the Thunder Ninjutsu developed by the 3rd generation Thunder Shadow, which releases leopard-shaped black lightning from the body, focusing on a single target and spreading around, making the opponent uncomfortable and unable to move. However, Feng directly used the Flying Thunder God technique to avoid the attack of the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows, and the figure suddenly appeared behind the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows. Lay done Hell Assault 4 Fingers. The 3rd generation of Liang saw that a move had not been successful and immediately made another move, directly using the strongest single ninjutsu of Bornei. Concentrate chakra on 4 fingers and concentrate chakra on the fingertips to make a stab. The nature of the assault skill is exactly like the thunder attribute. The penetration is very terrifying, and it is known as the strongest spear of the thunder ninjutsu. Feng immediately made a seal, Mu Dun, wood ingot wall. A row of wooden pillars bent from the ground to form arches. However, the 4 fingers of the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows, Thunder Shadow Hell Assault, directly cut through the wall of the wooden ingot. Thunder Chidori. Feng didn't say a word and used his single strongest ninjutsu. Mu Duan's strength lies in group attacks or large target attacks, such as one enemy of 10,000 or capturing tailed beasts. But to say that a single point is the strongest, it must be thunder. The huge chakra burst out instantly. Rumble. With a bang. Where the 2 of them stood, the earth suddenly cracked, and then it was overturned, and rubble flew. Those rubble directly cut through the faces of the onlooker ninjas. Everyone's eyes are going to pop out. This time is Yifeng's real body, right? So strong. Unexpectedly, he was able to fight against the third generation of Lei Ying, who was known as the #1 in speed. You're strong, come again. Lei Dun Lei Li Hot Knife. Yifeng squinted his eyes and looked at the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows whose whole body condensed Lei Dun chakra and performed the Water Dun How Water Wrist technique. This is the secret technique of the Ghost Lamp family, and the water in the whole body is concentrated in one hand, producing a strange force that is enough to cut iron and break rock. This is a ninjutsu that belongs to the original Water Shadow White Lotus character card. Suddenly, the figure of the 3 generations of Thunder Shadows appeared in front of Yifeng, exactly the same as the previous move of Thunder Dun Hell Assault with 4 fingers, without any fancy. Just going straight and carrying out the most violent attack with the fastest speed. The thunder was golden on his arm, emitting a piercing sound of breaking the air. The speed was beyond common sense, and it felt that it had reached the limit of human beings. I saw Yifeng flying out directly upside down, his whole body cracked, wrapped around Lei Dun chakra, condensed in his body, spread, and exploded instantly. All the ninjas of Yunin village watched the battle intently. It wasn't until the hands of the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow were really inserted into Yifeng's heart that thunderous cheers erupted. However, Yifeng thudded and turned into smoke. The cheers were heard. This is another shadow avatar. At the same time, the face of the 3 generations of Lei Ying did not have any joy. A mouthful of blood flowed slightly from the corner of his mouth, and his right hand trembled slightly. Just now, his own Thunder Plow Hot Knife hit the opponent's Water Dun How Water Wrist technique, although his own Thunder Plow Hot Knife is stronger, but the other party is just a shadow avatar. In the end, he was injured. The 3 generations of Lei Ying were faintly uneasy in their hearts. This young man was too strong, terrifyingly strong. Hurry up. If you don't go back, Yifeng will have a few more shadow doppelgangers, and he may really be retained. I don't know how, the 3 generations of Lei Ying faintly felt an uneasy feeling, not knowing how his son and Karabi were. As Yifeng's shadow doppelganger disappeared, all the information that the shadow doppelganger received returned to Yifeng's mind. The level of Thunder Dun Chidori was instantly raised to LV5. Just fought against the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow, and the skill level went up. It seems that the fastest way to increase the level of ninjutsu is real combat. The more powerful the opponent, the higher the experience points, and the faster the ninjutsu level will rise. Found 3 generations of Thunder Shadows. The 3 generations of Thunder Shadows are indeed strong, but if they are not careful, the shadow avatar is broken. Feng Shuimen immediately said, "Where?" Now that the Flying Thunder God technique of the Wave Feng Shui Gate is hungry and thirsty, he doesn't want to come out this time, and all the limelight has been stolen by Yifeng. At least Yifeng can eat meat, and he can drink some soup in Feng Shuimen. Watergate doesn't want to carry 4 generations of AI now, and feels like a tool man. Yikid was about to speak, when suddenly there was a loud bang from the side of Konoha village, accompanied by 1 or 2 huge roars of wild beasts. When Kushina and Makoto heard this voice, their faces immediately turned pale. Yifeng immediately sealed the seal, refined chakra, and improved his perception. In an instant, Yifeng vaguely felt that there were 3 very huge and terrifying chakras in Konoha village, one more terrifying than the other. Feng Shuimen's face changed greatly. Something happened in the village? At this moment, the voice of the system appeared in Yifeng's mind again. Ding! Based on the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1. Ignore the comfort of the village. Lei Ying. Kill into Yunin village. Reward. S-Class character card. 2nd generation Lei Ying AI. Option 2. Take advantage of the foggy hidden village is not. Directly capture the mist hidden village and become a new shadow. Reward. S-Class character card. Mifune. Option 3. Rush back to the village at full speed and rescue Uzumaki Mito. Reward. S-Class character card. Uchiha Itachi Dark Part. What is Uchiha Itachi Dark Part? Why is there such a special sign as the Dark Part? Night Maple didn't care so much, and now this option appeared, which showed that Konoha village was really in danger. The most important thing is that Uzumaki Mito is in danger. Must go back immediately. Hurry back and take a look. As soon as Yukid gave an order, he immediately rushed back to Konoha village at the fastest speed. Teacher, wait for me. Obito carried the corpse of a shinobi and shouted. Feng turned around and said, "You guys are not in a hurry, take your time." With that, Yokuid's figure disappeared into Obito and Kakashi's field of vision. Oops. The teacher is so bad. Obito was very angry and suddenly wondered if the teacher deliberately let himself practice. Isn't it good to carry such a heavy corpse and carry it back to Konoha? Obito suddenly made up his brain. In fact, Yokuid really used Obito and Kakashi as tool people. Yukid rushed all the way, checking the instructions of the S-class character Uchiha Itachi Dark Part that he had just obtained. Uchiha Itachi Dark Part, the Sharingan, which opened his eyes at the age of 8, actually made him experience countless tragedies. In addition to the pupil and illusion techniques that use the Sharingan, the ability of physical and ninjutsu is also very superb. Itachi's view of life and death comes from the harsh life he has experienced. Everyone depends on their knowledge and ideas, and is bound by these things, and calls these things reality. There is a line of small print at the back. Collect the S-class character card, Uchiha Itachi, Knight of Extermination, Uchiha Itachi, Shao, and fuse them all to synthesize the SSS-level human card, Uchiha Itachi, Susanoo. I went. The first time I saw the character card that can be upgraded. 3S-level Weasel Gods can be upgraded to SSS-level Weasel Gods. It's a little fierce. Yokuid was checking Uchiha's character card, and had rushed out of the Forest of Death, and Konoha village was in front of him. The huge outer path golem directly raised the center of Konoha village to the ground. The body of the outer path golem was far higher than the outer wall of Konoha village, and Feng could see it clearly at a glance. At this time, Feng finally saw what was happening in Konoha village. The 2 tails and the 9 tails were wrapped around the chakra chain all over their bodies and dragged in front of the outer path golem. The moment he saw the golem of the outer Dao, Feng knew who was doing the ghost. Uchiha spot. Even the 9 tails were pulled out? So Grandma Uzumaki Mito. Feng's face suddenly became ugly, and Jiyoshinai, who was chasing behind, saw the huge outer path golem, as well as the 9 tails, and his face was even pale. Grandma Mito must be fine. At this time, there was a sea of fire in Konoha village, and life was ruined. The civilians of the village have escaped from Konoha village. As for the people of the various ninja families, they did not dare to approach, because the people who were close to Uchiha just now are all dead. In addition to the strongest 3 generations of Hokage, except for the ape flying sun. But the situation of the ape flying sun chop is no better. The whole body is injured, both hands are broken, and he is still enduring severe pain, gritting his teeth and making marks. Wuduan Dalian bullet technique. It's useless. Uchiha sneered and directly released the tailed beast Jade. After absorbing the 8 tails, the outer path golem has evolved towards the first form of the 10 tails, and the tailed beast Jade can also be used. Just a simple tailed beast Jade directly blew up the strongest ninjutsu Wuduan Dalian bullet technique of the ape flying sun. At the same time, the protrusion on the golem's back could release a huge thunder and lightning, which exploded towards the ape flying sun. Ugh! The ape flying sun screamed, flew out upside down, and fell heavily on the ground. His whole body was burned black, and multiple medical ninjas hurriedly walked up. Naruto-sama. Uchiha did not take advantage of the victory to pursue, but looked at Sarutobi condescendingly and said, "The current Hokage is not as good as the generation. You're too far behind that guy. His strength is comparable to that of a tailed beast. Has the ability to destroy everything with one blow." Even the clansmen of the Uchiha clan were stunned. This is Uchiha Madara. The head of the family, Uchiha, couldn't help but walk up in an instant. Are you really Uchiha-ban? In fact, Uchiha was not yet 40 years old, and Uchiha had left Konoha 40 years ago. Uchiha hadn't seen Uchiha in an instant. Uchiha looked at Uchiha lightly and said, "The little ghost of the Uchiha clan? What is your name?" My name is Uchiha Shina. Haven't you heard? You're the head of the Uchiha clan today? Do you want to be a Hokage? Uchiha looked at Uchiha with a smile and said. Uchiha's expression suddenly froze, and his heart beat faster. Kill that old man. The position of Konoha Hokage, it's yours. This. Not okay. Uchiha glanced at the ape-flying sun over there. Just after hesitating for a second, the 10 tails directly smashed Uchiha into blood mud in an instant. Instant master. All the clansmen of the Uchiha clan turned pale with fright and retreated one after another. Uchiha smiled grimly. The people of the Uchiha clan were still so stupid. 40 years ago, before leaving, Uchiha was already dead to the Uchiha family. This family is not worth saving. At this time, Feng had already entered Konoha village. At the moment when Night Maple appeared at the gate of Konoha, Uchiha Madara, who was standing on top of the golem of the outer way, also saw Night Maple. Although the appearance is completely different, this feeling, there is nothing wrong, it is between the 1,000-hand pillars. The first time Yokaid entered Konoha village, he did not pay attention to Uchiha Madara, but rushed to the front of Uzumaki Mido. Uzumaki Mido's breath was almost gone, Tsunade's eyes were red, and he had been treating her to no avail. I'll come. Yokaid came, and Tsunade very consciously gave up his position. Palm cactus. However, Yokaid felt that his palm cactus entered Uzumaki Mido's body, like a mud cow entering the sea, and there was no reaction at all. He looked up at the 9 tails who were being dragged into the mouth of the outer path golem, and the human pillar force would die without the tailed beast? In the anime, why Naruto didn't die after he was drawn the 9 tails, and why Karabi didn't die after he was drawn the 8 tails is because he re-injected part of the tailed beast chakra. It should be the tailed beast chakra. Ding, the host's assumption is correct. Give 3 choices. Option 1. Continue to increase the amount of palm cactus. Reward. Uzumaki Mido saves his life and becomes a vegetative person. Option 2. Add from blood to enhance palm cactus. Reward. Uzumaki Mido saves his life and has only 1 day life. Option 3. Take the 9-tailed chakra and inject it into the body of Uzumaki Mido, and then use the palm cactus. Reward. Uzumaki Mido saves his life and maintains his original life. Do you still need to choose? Yifeng's hands quickly sealed the seal. Don't talk nonsense, shoot directly. A huge wooden dragon soared into the sky and bit into the 9 tails. Uchiha thought that Yifeng was making a move against him, and said with a smile, I just want to make a move now, it's a little late. While the outer path golem sucked the 2 tails and 9 tails into the body, it was condensing the tailed beast Jade with terrifying energy. However, the target of the wooden dragon is not the golem of the outer path, but the 9 tails. I saw that the wooden dragon bit one of the tails of the 9 tails and directly ripped it off. Roar! The 9 tails screamed miserably, and most of his body had been entered by the outer path golem. The tailed beast Jade of the outer path golem instantly spewed out. Mu done, tree boundary wall. Just as the wooden dragon bit the tail of the 9 tails and retracted, the tree boundary wall suddenly erected, blocking the tailed beast Jade that rushed forward. Rumble. A bang. The tree boundary wall cracked, but the tailed beast Jade also disappeared. At this time, everyone found that Yifeng had returned, and they all showed a look of joy. Lord Yifeng is back. Great, we are saved. Lord Yifeng, kill him. Uchiha felt the joy of the surrounding Konoha ninjas, and suddenly showed a look of displeasure. Back then, the people of Konoha village believed in Senjukuma like this. Why didn't they believe in me, Uchiha Madara? At this moment, in the fog, the outer path golem completely sucked in both the 2 tails and the 9 tails. Uchiha Madara stood on top of the outer path golem and saw that the body of the outer path golem actually entered Uchiha Ban's body. Hinata rolled her eyes and showed a look of horror. What is the situation? That golem, sucked in by Uchiha Madara. And at this time, Yifeng took a lump of 9-tailed chakra and directly stuffed it into the body of Uzumaki Mido, using palm cactus. Uzumaki Mido slowly opened his eyes. Tsunade next to him saw Uzumaki Mido wake up and immediately burst into laughter. Grandma. Tsunade Heim, it's over to you. Yifeng stood up, and Yifeng's hands were sealed, and he instantly turned into immortal mode. The eyes appear red stripes, and at the same time there is a red circle on the forehead, and the pupils turn golden. At this time, Uchiha had completely absorbed the outer path golem and turned it into a pseudo-ten-tailed human pillar force. The current outer path golem has only absorbed part of the tailed beasts, which is not complete enough, and can only be regarded as a pseudo-ten-tails. But even so, Uchiha became younger at a rate visible to the naked eye. From gray-haired old age to black-haired middle-aged. At the same time, the white clothes on his body only had 2 go jade, only 2 seeking jades behind him were spinning, and there were no 6 tin sticks in his hands. It's a half-finished version of the tailed beast that doesn't have time to get together. Night Maple called him the pseudo-6 spots. Even the pseudo-6-way spot is the enemy that Feng has ever felt the most pressure. Uchiha felt the power surging like a sea in his body and smiled. Finally, I can fight with all my strength. Sure enough, only this body has that hot feeling of boiling. This is called real combat. For the first time since the battle with the pillars, this has made my blood boil. Susanoo. A huge blue chakra skeleton, standing on the ground. Kushina, who had just arrived in Konoha, saw Uzumaki Mito, who had woken up and rushed up crying. Grandma Mito. Kushina hugged Uzumaki Mito tightly. Uzumaki Mito smiled lovingly, patted Gyoshinai's back and said, "It's okay." The medical ninja next to him reminded, "Gyoshinai, don't push so hard, Mito-sama, she just woke up." Gyoshinai quickly let go of Uzumaki Mito. "Granny, are you okay?" Uzumaki Mito smiled and shook his head and said, "It's okay." Before he finished speaking, Uzumaki Mito looked at the suddenly rising blue chakra skeleton giant, revealing a look of horror. "This is Susanoo." Everyone followed Uzumaki Mito's line of sight, and they all showed a look of horror. This blue high-density chakra condensed into a skeletal giant is 10 stories tall. High above, covering the sky, shocked everyone present. The people of the Uchiha clan trembled with fear. Susanoo, the forbidden art of their Uchiha clan, can only be unlocked by opening the kaleidoscope chakra eye and only exists in legends. And now, legends are back in the world. The long-haired man in front of him is exactly the same as the Uchiha painting in the clan. It's Uchiha. But he just smashed the current head of the family, Uchiha, in an instant. For a while, the Uchiha family didn't know how to be good. This Uchiha spot, for their Uchiha clan, is it a new birth or a destruction? The Hyuga clan, who is also one of the 2 major families of Konoha, everyone rolled their eyes wide in fright. This is Uchiha Madara? Such a blue skeletal giant represents destruction. Sarutobi Hinata, who was still being treated, shivered when he looked at Susanoo, who was high above, and the medical ninjas around him, as well as the dark ninjas, were frightened. Feng Shuimen had just carried the unconscious 4th-generation AI in, and he was calmed. What is it? Although Feng Shuimen is an honor student, he has never seen this kind of thing on the battlefield. The long-lost power of the Uchiha clan reappeared in Konoha and shocked everyone. The spies of the other ninja villages, undercover, were full of horror, and a large part of them immediately passed the news through various means, such as pigeons, such as psychic beasts, such as human flesh. Today's news, so shocking. Uchiha appears, the mysterious golem descends, and Konoha Hidden Village is destroyed. Then Uchiha absorbs the mysterious golem and rejuvenates. He also suddenly channeled a blue skeletal giant, and I heard that it was a forbidden technique of the Uchiha clan. All this is too shocking. Uchiha was in Susanoo, high above and overlooking the people of Konoha. I didn't expect to come back this time and destroy most of Konoha. Uchiha couldn't help but recall the final scene of the Battle of the Valley of the End in his mind. The 2 fought to the end, exhausted, and in the end they could only use physical skills to fight the victory. The 1,000-hand pillar pierced the back of his heart. I want to protect our village. No matter what happens, I still firmly believe that protecting the village is protecting the villagers, protecting the ninja and the children. Whether it's my friends, my brothers, or even my kids. As long as I dare to make enemies with the village, I will never let it go. You've changed, between the pillars. You put the cart before the horse, between the pillars. One day, this will turn into the darkness of the village. In that battle, He lost an eye in suspended animation, and the 1,000-hand pillars were not much better, and after that, he died quickly. And now he is facing a young man who is exactly the same as the 1,000-hand pillar, but different. Is this reincarnation? Uchiha looked at Yokoide coldly, and Susanoo raised the big blue knife in his hand and slashed at Yokoide. The knife had not yet arrived, and the fierce momentum had already scared everyone's faces pale. Run! Ape Flying Sun, who had not fully recovered, directly opened his hands and captured the medical ninja beside him in one fell swoop. Rumble. A bang. Where the Ape Flying Sun chopped the place where he was standing, it was directly split out of the long ravine, and the depth could not be seen. This is completely affecting pond fish. Uchiha's target was actually Yokoide, but the Ape Flying Sun behind him was also victimized. It's just that the part where the Ape Flying Sun chopped the person just now was a little strange, and when the medical female ninja reacted, she was directly beaten by the medical female ninja. Naruto-sama, how can you do this? The Ape Flying Sun is very wronged. This is obviously to save them. The situation is urgent. Feng, on the other hand, used the teleportation technique to avoid the attack, and also picked up Joshinai behind him along the way, and instantly moved to 100 meters away. Be careful. Joshinai was stunned for a moment, nodded, hesitated, or kissed Feng. You must be careful. Feng suddenly felt as if he was charged by the charger and nodded. Boy, you have some skills. Just let me see how strong you really are. Fire lost. In an instant, a huge amount of chakra condensed in Uchiha's mouth, directly spewing out terrifying flames. This terrifying flame was much more powerful than the 3 generations of Hokage had faced just now. That sea of flames rose up into the sky, illuminating everyone's faces white. Done, tree boundary wall. Multi-layered trees suddenly grew and blocked the huge sea of fire. Rumble. Countless roots grow into large trees, forming a thick wall that divides Konoha village in 2. Half is the Konoha ninja on the side where Yokoide is, and half is Uchiha, who is high above. The scorching burning of the extreme high temperature, the flames flashed. Even if they were blocked by the tree boundary wall, they made people feel the terrifying temperature. At this moment, Nara Shikaku, who had just been promoted to shinobi, shouted, "I caught it." Shadow mimicry. Under the sunlight, the shadow of Uchiha and the shadow of Nara Shikaku overlapped. Nara Shikahiza uses the family's secret method shadow mimicry to control Uchiha's movements. At the same time, the other 2 of the pig deer butterfly also moved. Secret technique heart turn. Yamanaka Haichi confronts Uchiha and uses his soul to concentrate his spirit on one point in order to unleash his spiritual power to seize and manipulate his opponent's body. Secretary. The art of multiplication. Akimichi Dingtsu instantly became huge. Konoha fluid. Meat chariot. I saw that Akimichi Dingtsu's whole person became bigger and fatter, and with a punch, it directly turned into a round ball meat bullet and rushed towards Uchiha savagely. Pig deer butterfly, a collection of 3. Everyone's eyes widened in anticipation. Give me out. Nara Shikaku walked towards Uchiha Madara, and Uchiha Madara must also walk out of his own Susanoo. However, Uchiha was unmoved and smiled faintly, as if looking at a child. Meat bomb chariot? It's really a nostalgic physical skill. Didn't your ancestors tell you that the combination tactics of pigs and deer butterflies are useless to me? When everyone heard this, their faces changed greatly. I saw Susanoo raise the big knife in his hand and slash it down suddenly. Rumble. The meatball of Akimichi Dingtsu was directly smashed upside down and flew out, hitting the tree boundary wall, and even the tree boundary wall was dented. Akimichi Dingtsu. Feng hurriedly sent Xiaodao Dingtsu back for treatment. Xiaodao Dingtsu from his forehead all the way down, a deep knife mark, from head to toe, directly chopped down, bloody, directly unconscious. When it was sent over, it scared the healer, and I thought that Uchiha had chopped Akimichi Dingtsu to death, but fortunately there was still breath. Uchiha Madara is also slightly one. It's quite tough, with the demeanor of your ancestors, and your ancestors were almost cut off by me. At this time, Yamanaka Haichi suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood, and the heart-turning technique failed. Shadow bondage? You give it to me. Uchiha Madara beckoned to Nara Shikahisa, and Nara Shikaku flew uncontrollably towards Uchiha Madara. Nope. Everyone was full of horror. Uchiha is also too strong, right? Just as Nara Shikaku was flying in the air, a yellow flash flashed and saved Nara Shikaku. Flying Thunder God technique? As soon as Uchiha saw Wave Feng Shui men using the Flying Thunder God technique, he immediately remembered the Senju Gyama he hated the most. The inheritance of that garbage thing. Uchiha's figure flashed, suddenly appeared in front of the Wave Feng Shui gate, and kicked out. Bufeng Shuiman's eyes widened, and before he could react, he flew out upside down holding Nara dear for a long time. His chest was sunken, and he vomited a large mouthful of blood. Just one blow seriously injured Wave Feng Shui gate. In less than 10 seconds, he injured 4 Shang ninja in a row. The horror of Uchiha left a deep and heavy impression on everyone's hearts. However, in the next second, everyone's eyes widened. Yuki didn't know when he appeared in front of Uchiha. Bang! A loud bang is much louder than Uchiha's kick in Zhongbo Feng Shui men. Uchiha flew out upside down. In the next second, the corners of Uchiha's mouth bleed, but he stopped in the air and instantly rushed towards Yuki. The two were shuttling back and forth in the air at a speed invisible to the naked eye, and the fire was radiant. Everyone can't see their movements clearly, it's too fast. I can only hear the sound of fists colliding to the flesh, which makes people's hearts jump. Everyone was dumbfounded. They felt that the physical skills they had seen before were all performances, and now the confrontation between the two was the physical skills. Wave Feng Shui Men, who was almost kicked to death by Uchiha Ban, is lying on the ground and is being treated by Tsunade. Gyoshina and Makoto couldn't help but clench their hands, praying, hoping that Yokoid would win this battle. On the side of Feng and Uchiha, they fought for a full minute, fighting for thousands of rounds, and the two retreated at the same time. Refreshing. Uchiha wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Yokoid. A little blood also flowed from the corner of Feng's mouth. Really strong. Feng said lightly. It was the first time he had gone all out against an enemy. Uchiha is indeed a strong man of the same level among the Thousand Hand Pillars. Similarly, Uchiha's side is also full of shock. The other party is even a little stronger than him, just like facing the feeling between the Thousand Hand Pillars. Come again. Although it is a slight downwind, but Uchiha does not have any retreat at all, but is full of fighting intent. This is Uchiha Ban. It was again a battle in which everyone could not see the action clearly, and everyone was surprised. Yuki was actually able to open up with Uchiha's spot. The ape who saw the most clearly was the most shocking in his heart. Night Maple is not with Uchiha's spot, but with Uchiha's spot. Night Maple is 7, Uchiha is 3. That's an exaggeration. The strength of the Night Maple reminded the ape-flying son of the Thousand Hand Pillars. The same Muduan, the same peerless powerhouse, also made Ape Fei re-look out of his neck. After a while, Uchiha flew out upside down, spurting blood from his mouth, but the corners of his mouth were slightly upturned. Hurry! You are my second recognized enemy after the pillars. I, Uchiha, would like to admit that you are one of my strongest opponents. Saying that, Uchiha Madara made a seal on his hands, and the chakra that was visible to the naked eye emerged from his body, almost thick enough to see the shape. Totally Susanoo. This terrifying chakra burst made the distant whirlpool Mito show a look of panic. This is a complete body of Susanoo. She knew immediately what Uchiha was going to do. Complete body Susanoo. I saw countless chakras, forming a behemoth up to 100 meters high in the air. Now this Susanoo is twice as tall and twice as large as just now, and a terrifying momentum bursts out, like a tengu. His whole body is covered with armor, and there are wings behind him, and he is equipped with 2 long swords on his waist. Just standing in front of everyone, the towering appearance brings people a sense of oppression that is incomparable. Feng's eyes were full of fighting intent. Totally Sitos? Immortal Magic Mu is really thousands of hands and tops up. Feng's order, The wooden man under his feet suddenly appeared. The wooden man becomes a Buddha and sits on top of the head of the huge Buddha statue. Set one by one. I saw the ground shattered, and the huge 1,000-handed wooden Buddha rose up into the sky. Back off. The ninjas of Konoha village who were on the edge of OP, led by Sarutobi Hinata, retreated one after another. The last time Feng's true thousands of hands appeared, everyone was too deeply affected. Even if it touches the slightest, it will be directly, seriously injured. Be sure to get out of the way. Now it's the immortals fighting. Ape Flying Sun Chopper stepped back while looking at the 1,000-hands wood Buddha that was still rising. Even the second time he saw this 1,000-hand wood Buddha, Ape Flying Sun Chopper still felt a deep powerlessness. This is too lapey, as big as a mountain, how to fight. A hand is bigger than a house. What 1,000 hands? Uchiha was slightly stunned. This giant Buddha, this 1,000 hands, is too familiar. Many old men of the family once again saw the appearance of thousands of real hands and directly knelt on the ground. This is their belief in the ninja god, the Senjuku pillar. This time, Uchiha watched the appearance of Shinsenju topping makeup with his own eyes up close, and his eyelids jumped uncontrollably. Uchiha, who has always liked to pretend, couldn't say a word at this time. It's too big. At this time, Uchiha discovered that the true 1,000 hands topping avatar was much larger than his complete body Susanoo. Now the size of the real thousands of hands and top makeup has exceeded the complete body Susanoo, but it is still rising. Thousands of hands behind him are swinging slightly. Uchiha suddenly had a sense of foreboding in his heart. Come on. Uchiha can't wait. He was afraid that when the real thousands of hands fully appeared, he would lose. Can only rush to attack. Completely on the surface of Susanoo, the dark blue chakra light rose up. In the next second, the complete body Susanoo pulled out his sword and slashed towards the rising 1,000-hand wood Buddha. The katana from the bottom up slashed out and instantly burst out with a deafening crashing sound. With this knife, even the earth shook. The split knife chi, the part that was not blocked by Jin Qian's hands, flew directly to the distant peak. Rumble. With a loud bang, that mountain was instantly razed to the ground. Joshinai looked at the back of the 1,000-hands wood Buddha with a pale face. Uzumaki Mito next to him said softly, Feng is fine, rest assured. He is completely capable of being Suzuki, and he is not an opponent of thousands of hands. As Uzumaki Mito said, there is only one trace of the earth-shattering sword that completely bodies Susanoo remains. The trace seemed deep, but instantly grew back as if it had never happened. Uchiha's face became more and more ugly, and he frantically operated the complete body Susanoo attack on Shin thousands of hands. However, Yifeng said lightly, You have been fighting for so long, it's my turn. As soon as the words fell, time seemed to stop at this moment. Everyone's expressions were sluggish. Even Madara's expression showed a hint of panic. Suddenly, the entire heaven and earth suddenly darkened. An incomparably terrifying aura was being released and spreading, like a terrifying wave crashing on the shore, and the entire continent was suddenly shaken. The 1,000-meter-tall Buddha statue has completely risen, and it is completely the size of Susanoo, not even half of the 1,000-hands wood Buddha. Thousands of huge Buddha palms covered the sky, and the entire Konoha village was shrouded in darkness. Really thousands of hands, 1,000 hands, directly smashed on the complete body of Susanoo. Bang, 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 completely submerged by the ocean of fists. Smoke and dust followed, as if tens of millions of tons of explosives exploded. Rumble. With a loud bang, the entire Konoha village turned into nothing. The ninja of Konoha village had retreated to the outskirts of the village, and the walls around Konoha village were all shattered. But at the same time, in front of everyone, a circle of tree boundary walls was suddenly erected, blocking the aftermath of the explosion from overturning. In everyone's eyes, the red of the explosion was reflected, like the setting sun. It's only 1 minute. Completely Musanano exploded. It only lasted for 1 second. Forcing Wang Yuzibo to spot, his mouth sprayed blood, and he was caught in his hands by the wooden man. Bang! The Uchiha spot in the wooden man's hand turned into smoke at once. Shadow doppelganger. The real Uchiha body has jumped away, covered and tattered, bleeding from the corners of his mouth, and it seems that he is still injured. Even at this time, Uchiha still looked calm, as if the person who was beaten was not him. Behind Uchiha, a pair of Susanoo who were leaning back to back appeared. Feng squinted his eyes, seeing this scene. He had an ominous thought in his heart. I saw Uchiha himself and this pair of Susanoo, and sealed at the same time. Night Maple. Jiyoshinai covered her heart, worried about Feng, and suddenly, she seemed to sense something, and involuntarily looked at the sky. Everyone in Konoha village looked at the sky at almost the same time. Immediately afterwards, everyone's expressions instantly froze. They saw that among the dark clouds, an extremely huge black shadow suddenly appeared. That huge black shadow, gradually. Pick one prize, it's too human. SSS character card, Uchiha Spot, Dirt Transformation. This is simply a dream character card. 1000 hands between pillars plus wisdom wave, super CP combination. Besides, if you fully fuse the SS level character Uchiha, Dirt Transformation, can't you have the power of Indra? What else do you want Indra to do alone? Fusion of SSS level characters, Uchiha Spot, Dirt Transformation, does not get Indra's power. Feng groaned. It turned out that the dirt spot did not have the power of Indra. Is it because it is not a living person? Think about it. Very likely. For example, the dirt and 1000 hand pillars are far inferior to the time of death, and this one is far inferior, which may be the power of Asura and the power of Indra. So the two options are equivalent? But even so, the first option is tempting. It's like giving up Konoha village. Wait, why can't I chase and kill Uchiha again and help Konoha resist the celestial shock? Adults, I want it. At the moment when Yukid was thinking, Uchiha had already jumped out of Konoha village. At the same time, thousands of white absolutes suddenly appeared. This is the second insurance for Uchiha to escape. Countless white absolutes suddenly appeared around Konoha village, and everyone showed a look of horror. Densely packed white, thousands of them, surrounded by heavy circles, it is creepy to watch. The breath of each one is above the middle patience. Everyone was scared silly. A huge meteorite above the head is falling, like a sharp sword hanging overhead. And this endless white around them, you can't even escape. Feng must come to the rescue. If he does not save it, Konoha Hidden Village will be directly destroyed, and there will be no birth. Uchiha's series of moves have long been premeditated. This time, Uchiha was also in the fire, absorbing the 2 tails, 8 tails and 9 tails, and then followed by 10,000 white absolute and heavenly obstacles to escape from the stars. Of course, this is Uchiha's second choice. If Uchiha can fight the overnight maples, there will be no such second choice, just like the original battle of the End Valley. If you can't win, then slip away. Besides, Uchiha has a third insurance. While fleeing, Uchiha did not forget to look back at Yoki defiantly. The reincarnation of the 1000 hand pillar, let me see if you still follow your original ninja path. Multiple shadow doppelganger technique. All of a sudden, Uchiha split into 25 and fled in all directions. I'm going one famous scene after another, all used to escape? Feng also did not expect that the ability to force the king to escape was also the first in Konoha. Multiple shadow doppelganger tactics. The Ein seal on Feng's forehead was opened directly. The art of 100 heroes. The chakra, which was originally stored, suddenly emerged. Feng directly separated 100 shadow doppelgangers and immediately chased after Uchiha's 25 shadow doppelgangers. For is responsible for one, in this case, the forced king should not be able to leave, right? Uchiha saw Yukid chasing after him with hundreds of doppelgangers at once, revealing a surprised look. This guy's chakra is even more perverted than the Senjutsu pillar. After using the real thousands of hands and topping the armor, there is still spare strength to be able to divide the body into hundreds to hunt down and kill themselves? How is this possible? Uchiha picked up speed and fled. Yukid's reaction made Uchiha feel a sense of foreboding in his heart. In addition, the body of the Night Maple is still there. The figure flashed, and Feng had already appeared in front of everyone in Konoha. Night Maple. Lord Yukid. Everyone's attitude towards Feng at this time was unprecedentedly respectful. because Yokaid is the savior of Konoha village. Moreover, the status is noble, and many people's respect for Feng has exceeded the respect for the 3 generations of Hokage. Sarutobi Hinata also went to the soup for Konoha, but the strength was not enough, and people still believed in Night Maple more. After all, Feng's strength has already left the Ape Flying Sun, and there is also the golden signboard of the 1,000-Hand Pillar Indirect Squad. In the hearts of the ninjas of Konoha village, the status of the Senja Pillar is extremely exalted. Coupled with the fact that Feng now opens the art of 100 Hao, the texture of the art of 100 Hao, plus the texture of the immortal mode, combined on the face, is full of mystery, just like the god of war. Not to mention that the eyes of Kushina and Makoto lit up, the eyes of the other female ninja looking at Feng are completely different. So handsome. Lord Feng, what now? Feng glanced at Kushina, nodded, and then said to everyone, "Let's stand back. The Night Maple Shadow Avatar is directly sealed. Mu done. Birth of the Tree Realm." With a loud bang, the entire ground shook and collapsed instantly. The big trees that rose under the ground directly overturned the floor. Rumble. In just a few seconds, the flat land turned into a dense forest, changing the terrain in one fell swoop. Countless tree roots and vines drilled out in an instant. Everyone in Konoha village was surrounded by the tree realm at once. "You guys solved the fish that slipped through the net," Feng said quietly. "On the periphery of the tree realm are white absolutes. As soon as you walk in one, it is entangled and directly sucked dry by tree roots and vines. But there were many white absolutes and countless white absolutes pressed towards the tree realm. The outermost trees, creaking and then clattering, collapsed. Immediately afterwards, the circle of roots and vines inside was also cut off by the dense white around it. Up! We can't just watch." Tsunade was the first to shout, rushed up, and instantly opened the Hyakuheo technique. As a nanny Tsunade, she is a clear stream among the Hokage nanny, with a large amount of milk, can resist and fight, and can be described as the king of war in the Hokage. With a punch-up, a Baiju flew out upside down and exploded in the air, taking 3 or 4 Baiju behind him to fall. Ape Flying Sun / also once again used his unique move, Wuduan Dalian Bullet technique, and the continuous bullet of 5 chakra attributes suddenly drowned a bunch of white absolutes in front of him. I have to say that the Ape Flying Sun slashes the minions much faster than Tsunade. Under the leadership of Tsunade and Sarutobi Hinata, the ninjas of Konoha village went into battle one after another, relying on the cover of the tree world, and all kinds of ninjutsu were thrown at Baiju. Even Kushina and Uchiha Makoto rushed forward. Rush! Kill! Kakashi and Obito of the 7th class rushed out first, and many ninjas were stunned. Why are both elementary school students like this? Sarutobi Hinata looked at Obito with a chakra eye, and was also fighting to kill Baiju, remembering that just now Uchiha refused to kill himself and was killed by Uchiha's spot, and he had an inexplicable thought in his heart. The Uchiha family is not that kind of dangerous family. You see, the Uchiha clan, whether it is the younger generation or the current generation in power, does not have much idea of being unfavorable to Konoha. Instead, the Shimura clan of Danzo, the Mito clan of Menen, and the dormitory clan of Koharu have completely changed after gaining the greatest power in Konoha village. Is the second-generation teacher wrong? Are we wrong? Sarutobi fell into self-doubt. And Rin is also helping to heal the ninja. Terumi, who was a prisoner, and the 2 Tikmons, hesitated and joined the battle group. Now this tree realm, like a huge fortress, protects the entire village of Konoha, splitting the vast white Ju into small pieces, just against the ninja of Konoha village. Kushina looked at Yifeng's back, and her eyes were full of adoration. However, Yifeng's figure flashed and disappeared again. Rumble. There was a booming sound on everyone's heads, and they all looked up at the huge meteorite that gradually fell in the sky, and everyone's faces were very ugly, and even trembled. It's huge. The entire sky was covered, and the black shadow covered the entire Konoha village, and it was dark. If it falls like this, the entire Konoha village will inevitably be gone directly. Can Night Maple block it? It must be blocked. Yifeng squinted his eyes, looked at the huge meteorite that fell down, gritted his teeth, and pressed his hands on the wooden man's head. Really, thousands of hands. Top up to make a baby up. Click. The huge thousand-hands wooden Buddha, towering into the clouds, began to move. With a slight movement, the entire ground shook. Black and White, who was hiding in the shadows, looked up at the thousand-hands wooden Buddha raising his 1,000 hands, and at the same time soared into the sky, stunned. The second time I saw the real thousands of hands, it was still full of shock. It's really too strong, so strong that Uchiha can't match it. Suddenly, a strong wind behind him. Black and White were slightly stunned, and his body was instantly torn apart. Water escape water blade slash. A shadow doppelganger of Yifeng suddenly appeared behind Black and White. It's just that Black and White were torn to pieces, and Black and White still went deep into the dirt and disappeared. Yifeng also knew very well that it was almost difficult for Heiju to completely kill. Even if he killed this, I am afraid that there would be other places. It's just that Yifeng doesn't want this guy to peek at the screen. Thousands of wooden hands rose up into the sky and finally touched the surface of the falling meteorite. However, the impact power of the meteorite was too terrifying, and the 1,000 wooden hands shattered the moment they touched the surface of the meteorite. Yifeng gritted his teeth. The Yin seal was completely opened, and the chakra in his body gushed out. The broken wooden hand, supported by the chakra that erupted from the night maple, continued to grow out with the naked eye. But the new wooden hand, the moment it touched the huge meteorite, it was still constantly shattered, and it was impossible to withstand the fall of the huge meteorite. Meteorites are still falling. Mudun giant pillar art. Countless huge pieces of wood soar into the sky. However, when it touched a huge meteorite, it instantly cracked and shattered. Void. It is not ineffective. The momentum of meteorite falling slightly slowed down. But it's still declining. Yifeng, you must resist. Night Maple. Jioshinai, Uchiha Makoto, and the others all covered their hearts with their hands and silently prayed for Yikide. Lord Yikide, you must resist it. Lord Yikide, bless us in Konoha village. Not only the two of them, but everyone in Konoha village was praying for Night Maple at the same time. The chakra on their bodies turned into a little starlight, floated towards Yifeng, and penetrated deep into Yifeng's body. Yifeng suddenly felt that chakra, which was almost exhausted in his body, suddenly skyrocketed. Looking down, a little starlight merged into his body. Immortal mode absorbs natural chakra, a lot of integration. Mudun multiple wood doppelganger technique. Yifeng suddenly separated hundreds of wooden doppelgangers, stepped on wooden hands, and rushed towards the heavenly obstruction shocking star. The sudden addition of hundreds of wooden doppelgangers obviously suppressed the momentum of the meteorite's fall. Bang, bang, bang. But in the blink of an eye, hundreds of wooden doppelgangers were instantly crushed. Huh. Night Maple roared, and everyone in Konoha village was praying for Night Feng. Chakra from everyone in Konoha village turned into a little starlight, continuously charging Yifeng. Mudun multiple wood doppelganger technique. Yifeng suddenly separated thousands of wooden doppelgangers and rushed towards the surface of the huge meteorite. Everyone was stunned. Thousands of wooden doppelgangers? What is this concept? Huh. Night Maple had thousands of wooden doppelgangers open their hands, and their hands condensed the thick wooden dun chakra, supporting the huge meteorite. And under their feet, their wooden hands. The huge meteorite kept pressing down, but the momentum of falling was getting slower and slower. The wooden doppelganger rushed up continuously, constantly being crushed, and the trend of huge meteorites finally became slower and slower, and finally when he came to the body of Night Feng, he was supported by Night Maple with both hands and stopped. The tree realm on the ground withered instantly, and Night Feng's chakra was no longer able to support it. Night Maple 4 shadow avatars chased Uchiha. Spot 1 shadow avatar, bang twice, also became 2 shadow doppelgangers. Uchiha suddenly smiled. Konoha can't carry it over there. Finally, thousands of wooden hands, plus Yifeng, forcefully supported the bottom of the heavenly obstruction star. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Everyone looked at the huge meteorite that stopped in the air, and under the meteorite, there was a black dot supporting Night Maple. After a bitter struggle, Baiju finally retreated. The ninjas of Konoha village were covered in bruises, but their eyes were full of hope. And Yifeng resisted the heavenly hindrance shocking star, making everyone's hanging hearts a little calmer. Yifeng used all his strength to throw the heavenly barrier shock star towards the side where no one was. Rumble. A monstrous. The whole ground shook. Smoke and dust. Wait until the smoke slowly clears. Heavenly barrier earthquake star directly smashed half of Konoha village into a small low hill. The terrain of Konoha village completely changed. What was originally a mountain on one side has now become a mountain on two sides, with fire shadow rock on one side and a small hill that has just formed the celestial barrier earthquake star on the other. Everyone's hanging hearts can finally be completely relaxed. Night Maple Lord Nyo Bai. Long live Lord Yifeng. Teacher Yifeng is invincible. Night Maple. Everyone rushed forward. Rushing to the front are Jiyoshinai and the 7th class. Tsunade accompanied Uzumaki Mito and watched quietly. Ape Fei re-sat on the ground, panting, looking at the Night Maple in front of him, and couldn't help but say to himself, "I'm old." He remembered what the second-generation teacher Senjuma said to himself after the Fire Thunder talk. Ape Fei, you have to love this village and protect those who believe in you, and at the same time, you must also cultivate people who can be entrusted to the next era, and from tomorrow you will be Hokage too. Feng, the immortal magic Muduin, drew thousands of hands, and top avatar under Yifeng's feet also collapsed in an instant, and the ninjutsu was lifted. Ding, complete option 2 to help Konoha resist the threat of the Sky Barrier Star. Reward, Indra's power. Ding, do you immediately use the power of Indra? Wait a minute, system. I still have option 1, it's ongoing. Ding, option 1 is on the line, complete the conditions to get rewards. Yifeng heard the system's explanation and was immediately relieved. Uchiha, you wait for me. Just now, each team of 4 shadow avatars chased and killed Uchiha and 1 shadow avatar, and each team eliminated 2 shadow avatars, and all the information that these shadow avatars knew returned to Yifeng's mind. Coupled with the shadow avatar who was exploded by Uchiha, it also brought the relevant information back to Yikide's mind. This is a moment, and after analysis, Yifeng probably knows where the body of Uchiha is located. Jiyoshinai hurriedly rushed up and hugged Yifeng tightly, not daring at all that Yifeng's body was full of dust. It's okay. Yifeng touched Jiyoshinai's head and said with a smile, "There is still a little thing, wait for me." Wait a minute. Jiyoshinai suddenly grabbed Yifeng. Yifeng was slightly stunned, and Jiyoshinai had already stood on tiptoe and brought his mouth up. Ugh. The single dog who followed behind took the soil, watching Jiyoshinai take the initiative to kiss Yifeng, envious and jealous. He involuntarily glanced back at Lin, but Lin looked at Yifeng and Jiyoshinai with envy. I really want a handsome boyfriend like my teacher. Obito secretly swore in his heart that I would be more powerful than the teacher in the future. Uchiha sighed, constantly running away in the direction of the country of water, has killed the 2 shadow doppelgangers who Yifeng chased him, but unexpectedly, Yifeng's shadow doppelgangers are constantly chasing and killing. It's really like a fly annoyance. But how many shadow doppelgangers do you still have? Is your chakra enough? Another shadow doppelganger of Yikide was blasted by Uchiha's spot. It's annoying. Suddenly, a kuwu flying inscribed with the Flying Thunder God technique came out. Konoha village, Yifeng and Jiyoshina stood quietly, and no one dared to disturb at all. For a long time, his lips parted, and Jiyoshinai said with a blushing face, "Come back quickly." Yifeng nodded, and the figure disappeared. Flying Thunder God's art. Even if it is thousands of miles away, as long as there is a Flying Thunder God technique, it can be reached in an instant. Uchiha suffered death. Thousands of miles away, the Flying Thunder God came in an instant. Uchiha thought it was Yifeng's shadow doppelganger, and directly kicked it. However, just as Uchiha Ban's foot stepped on Yifeng's body, the power transmitted by the other party made Uchiha Ba slightly stunned. Immediately afterwards, Yifeng's fist was as fast as light and shadow. Bang! A loud bang. Uchiha flew out upside down, but stopped in the air. This is the real body? It seems that your chakra is exhausted. Yifeng's kick was not as powerful as before. Just a confrontation, Uchiha has already roughly guessed the depth of the Night Maple. It seems that Night Maple dares to chase after him now, and he is simply looking for death. Now the position of the hunter and the prey is completely reversed. I said that the only person who can confront me is between the pillars, but now, plus you foam. Saying that, Uchiha spotted the seal, refining chakra. Yifeng is very strong, but chakra is not enough. In the eyes of the Forced King, Yifeng is chasing after him now, which is simply the way to death. Since you want to die, I, Uchiha, will send you to hell. With Uchiha as the center, the vast and surging aura instantly spread around, startling a burst of birds. Totally Susanoo. Saying that, Uchiha Madara made a seal on his hands, and the chakra that was visible to the naked eye emerged from his body, almost thick enough to see the shape. I saw countless chakras, forming a behemoth up to 100 meters high in the air. Now this Susanoo, the terrifying momentum burst out, like a tengu. The whole body is covered with armor, there are wings behind him, and 2 long swords on his waist. Towering into the clouds, extremely oppressive. The whole heaven and earth seemed to be quiet. Uchiha looked at Yifeng quietly and said, "It's a pity, your chakra is far less than me. Don't call me mean, you are the bloodline inheritance between the pillars. I will naturally go all out." Saying that, Uchiha did not hesitate. Completely Susanoo raised the long knife in his hand and slashed it down suddenly. Rumble. The long knife that was completely capable of Susa stopped, and behind Yifeng, a deep ravine was directly split. Swish! This rift is extending wildly, and it has reached thousands of meters away in an instant. In front of Yifeng, however, a wooden shield shaped like a Feng grimace appeared, blocking the attack of Susanoo. Mood done ranking. Uchiha looked at the art of ranking, slightly stunned, and the memory seemed to return to the Battle of the End Valley. At that time, Pillar used this technique to defend against Madara's slash against Madara Susanoo. And now, too, blocked their own attacks. Hehe, it's very good, you exceeded my expectations, but if I continue to chop, how many times can you withstand it? As soon as the words fell, the complete slash of Susa was able to slash, and then it followed. Rumble. 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 Stronger every time. For the 3rd time, Yifeng's ranking technique was directly shattered. You are already very strong, but unfortunately, the final winner is me. Saying that, Susanoo raised the long knife representing destruction high, and the terrifying chakra was condensing. In an instant, the knife chi was fierce, and before it was split, it had already split all the trees in the distance. Yukid looked at Uchiha with a smile. You think I don't have enough chakra? Then I'll add a little more. Use Indra's power. Ding, the host uses the power of Indra. According to the system explanation, this is the complete power of Indra, and after the Night Maple is used, it is equivalent to full power in an instant. Because Yifeng has not fully adapted to the power of Indra, the power of Azura contained in the character card between the 1,000-hand pillars and the power of Indra now cannot be fused into the power of the 6 paths. Night Maple can see the system display. 6 Tao power fusion 1%. Well, only 1%, I don't know when it will be fully integrated. When the fusion degree is 100%, Yifeng's strength should be comparable to the 6 Tao immortals. Uchiha suddenly felt that the chakra in Yifeng's body suddenly skyrocketed, and it was about to overflow, and it felt like it was solidified like a liquid. Moreover, the chakra floating outside the Night Maple is purple, with a faint gold in it. What is it? Yifeng instantly entered the immortal mode, covered in purple gold, and said lightly, "This is the power of Indra." Indra's power? Uchiha's face changed, and he was completely able to split it directly. Do you understand what Indra's power is? Rumble. A bang. Once again, a wooden shield shaped like a Feng grimace appeared in front of Yifeng, blocking the attack of completely Susanoo. And the woods behind Yifeng were instantly razed to the ground by the aftermath of this slash. This power. Uchiha's face changed drastically, and his body trembled involuntarily. It doesn't make sense. Why is your chakra still so adequate? Feng smiled and said, isn't it surprised? Saying that, Feng sealed his hands and pressed them on the ground. Suddenly, the earth shook violently, and a huge wooden figure emerged from the ground, about the size of a complete body Susanoo. I don't believe it! Uchiha's eyes widened, and the terrifying chakra-long knife that was completely supreme fell again. However, the wooden man under the control of Yikid, with his hands together, clamped the chakra-long knife that was completely supreme. Bang! A loud bang. The aftermath was enough to flatten the mountain, and it was caught empty-handed by the wooden man of the night maple empty-handed. How is this guy possible? How can there be spare strength to resist? How does his chakra feel stronger than before? Uchiha originally thought that he could solve this battle in an overwhelming manner, but now his mentality is a little broken. Not only did Feng not die, but he became stronger than before. The immortal pattern of such a purple-gold chakra in front of him seems to be even more powerful than the original thousand-hand pillar. Just when Uchiha was surprised, Feng made a move. It doesn't take thousands of real hands, it is the wooden man of the art of the wooden man, and he directly punches down. Punch hard. Rumble. An unremarkable punch smashed into the chest of completely Susanoo. Is that where Uchiha is standing? Uchiha's eyes widened, and his huge fist covered the sky, instantly filling his field of vision. Before Uchiha finished speaking, he was directly smashed out of the body of the complete body Susanoo by a punch. It was a huge force that directly shook the air. Rumble. Uchiha smashed a huge crater in the ground, filling the air. And the chest armor that was completely Susanoo also cracked a huge crack. Bang. Complete body Susa can fight back directly. The two giants exchanged their fists and swords and began to fight. And Uchiha flew out of the pit. Bang. A bang. Deafening. How is this possible? Uchiha looked surprised and vomited blood in the air. Just rushed out, now poured again. Rumble. Uchiha once again smashed into the deep pit just now, deeply imprinted in the ground. The corners of Uchiha's mouth were bleeding, and Yokid stood on top of the wooden man's head. Why? Why are you still so strong? At this time, the battle between the wooden man and the complete body Susanoo also entered the end. Kido's hands had been cut off, but he kicked and flew completely Susanoo. Completely Susanoo flew out directly upside down and smashed on the hill, directly smashing the hill. Rumble. A loud bang. The chakra bones that were completely Susanoo shattered, and the entire Susanoo began to disintegrate, turning into chakra and flowing back into Uchiha's body. Uchiha turned his head and fled. I can't fight it now, but in the bay on the border of the land of fire and the land of water, there are still 3 tails sleeping. As long as you absorb 3 more tails, there is still a chance. The border bays of the land of fire and the land of water are just ahead. Yikid chased behind. Really unexpectedly, Uchiha actually escaped again. But in retrospect, it also feels normal. The king likes to pretend to be forced and likes to pretend, but he is also a person who can flex and stretch. During the 4th Ninja World War, he faced 100,000 ninja coalition army and faced the 5 shadows, with a look of disgust, because his strength was far superior to the enemy. In fact, what he said is normal, but in the eyes of others, it is very pretentious. But at that time, the Forced King also said a lot of good things between the pillars, and was even known as the first pillar blowing. It can be seen that forcing the king is a true temperament. If you feel weak, spray you weak, and think that you are strong is naturally admitted. It is also very true to escape, and he constantly uses the tailed beast Jade to create some trouble for Feng, who is chasing behind. Of course, these troubles are nothing to Feng. It was only when I arrived at the bridge that was straightened by the night maple that I saw Uchiha jumping into the sea. Won't it? Jump into the sea and escape? Feng was also stunned, chased to the shore, and saw that Uchiha had burrowed into the sea. At this moment, a huge turtle creature appeared in the sea. Feng squinted his eyes and looked closely. It was a turtle with 3 tails covered in thorns. 3 tails. Before Yikid could react, Uchiha suddenly came out of the water again, and suddenly from Uchiha's body, countless chakra chains flew out and tied the three tails. Roar! Mio had just called out when he was stunned by Uchiha with Susanoo. Under the pressure of super life and death, Uchiha was still in danger, and simply solved the three tails, and pulled the three tails into his body at once. Absorb the three tails. Yukid immediately understood Uchiha's intentions. It's going to be a dying fight. Just as Yukid thought, after Uchiha had absorbed the three tails at sea, he turned around and looked at Yukid. The two looked at each other across the cliff and the ocean. Uchiha didn't say much and directly sealed and pressed on the surface of the sea. Suddenly, the waves are rough. Uchiha's spot aged at a speed visible to the naked eye, from long black hair to gray hair, and the originally middle-aged and resolute face once again changed back to the original old wrinkled appearance. And in front of Uchiha, appeared in the outer path golem. At this time, the outer path golem had opened 4 eyes, 9 tails were swaying, and its movements were much more flexible than before, and even emitted a deafening roar. At this time, the outer path golem absorbed 2 tails, 3 tails, 8 tails, and 9 tails, and it was already a pseudo-10 tail. The ninja of Mist Hidden Village on the other side looked at the changes on the sea and showed a terrified look. What's that? Hurry back and report to the 4th generation of Water Shadow Lord. My god, why is our Wuin village so calamitous? Uchiha's eyes were only Yukid, and his hands were sealed. Dressing Susanoo. In the Battle of the End Valley, he equipped Susanoo as armor on the 9 tails, combining the overwhelming strength of the 9 tails with the extreme defensive power of Susanoo. This time, he equipped Susanoo as armor on the body of the 10 tails. On the body of the 10 tails, the Susanoo armor immediately appeared. With your wooden art, it is impossible to break my prestige, Susanoo. Uchiha had witnessed Night Maple use thousands of hands when he was in Konoha village, and now he simply did not believe that Night Maple could use thousands of real hands. If I can still use thousands of hands, I will eat the 10 tails. However, in the next second, Uchiha's eyes were about to pop out. Can Susanoo also be used on the 10 tails? Yifeng was stunned for a moment, sealed at a rapid speed, and pressed it on the ground. Rumble. I saw that the huge immortal chakra instantly looked like a river, like a seawater, suddenly gushing out. This time, it was also mixed with the power of Indra. Immortal magic Mu Dun true thousands of hands top. Yifeng stood on top of the wooden figure, and the wooden man sat on top of the head of the huge Buddha statue. Chakra bursting out of purple and gold mixed together. Boom. On the cliff, directly collapse. The bridge that was originally erected at both ends of the mainland collapsed in an instant. The coastline instantly moves hundreds of meters inland. Countless sand and gravel tumbled to the seashore, instantly filled in and turned into a coast. The 1,000-hand giant Buddha just appeared and changed the terrain of the entire seaside. The ninjas of the Mist Hidden Village on the other side exclaimed again. 1,000-handed giant Buddha. It is the 1,000-hand giant Buddha of Night Maple. Hurry back and report to Lord Mizukage. God, this is the 1,000-hand giant Buddha of the Konoha Demon King. It's really the Demon Buddha. Now Yifeng's name has spread throughout Wuin Village. The ninja of the Mist Hidden Village called Yoki the Demon King of Konoha. Only the Demon King can summon such a terrifying Demon Buddha. The 10 tails equipped with Susanoo are too big a gap compared to the 1,000 hands Buddha. Night Maple was on the head of the wooden man, looking at the age spots from above. Uchiha was stunned, showing an incredulous look, and he was not fluent in speaking. You. How can it be? As soon as Shin Qian's hands appeared, he defeated Uchiha's psychological defense. It's really unbelievable, this terrifying chakra. All right. I'll just admit you, among the opponents I've fought, you are stronger than the intercolumn. No one can get your right. I, Uchiha, would like to call you the strongest. Uchiha shouted angrily, and a purple long knife appeared in the hand of the mighty Susanoo Tenno, slashing at Shinsen's hand. Even if you know that you are going to lose, you will still shoot, and this is Uchiha. At the last moment of his life, he burned all his life. A knife that condensed his life will slashed out. Rumble. The chakra-long knife plunged deep between the legs of the 1,000-hand giant Buddha and got stuck. Then, The 1,000-hand giant Buddha grabbed the 10 tails of Wei costume with one hand and 1,000 fists behind him and shot at the same time. Bang! 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 Mighty Susanoo shattered in an instant. The 10 tails of the incomplete body were directly beaten into pieces. And the psychic came out of the 10 tails, and Uchiha, who maintained the vain Susanoo, suddenly spewed out a large mouthful of blood. I still lost. God is not on my side. If I collect 9-tailed beasts, it will definitely not be the result today. I will come back again. Next time, I will become a real 10-tailed human pillar force. At the last moment, Uchiha cancels the psychic of the 10 tails, and the 10 tails disappear at once. Only Uchiha was left alone, falling on the beach. Yifeng fell from Jun Qian's hand, and a systematic prompt appeared in his mind. Ding! Complete option 1 to get rewards. SSS level character Kyuchiha spot. Dirt transformation. Uchiha Madara died like that? Yifeng looked puzzled, but since the system prompted, it should be right. When Yokaid returned to Konoha village with Uchiha's body, the reconstruction of Konoha village was in full swing. Everyone saw Yefeng coming, and they walked up one after another. A sea of people. There were densely packed figures everywhere, all watching the return of the Night Maple from a distance. Lord Yokaid. Lord Yefeng is back. He's Uchiha on his hand? Hero. Heroes of Konoha. Lord Yifeng. Lord Yefeng is mighty. At the front is Konoha's current highest level. Sarutobi Hinata, Uzumaki Mito, and the patriarchs of 35 families. These people formed the Provisional Supreme Council for the reconstruction of Konoha now. Kakashi and Obito of the 7th class, as well as Rin, were all squeezed into the back. Too many people. So many people came to greet Teacher Yefeng. Teacher Yefeng is awesome. Yifeng was also slightly stunned when he saw so many people. He had never seen so many people gathered together. He dropped Uchiha's body and asked directly, "What about Gyoshinai?" Everyone was stunned for a moment, quickly let go, and Gyoshinai behind walked up. Yefeng saw Gyoshinai, smiled, touched Gyoshinai's hair and said, "I'm back." Sarutobi Hinata, Uzumaki Mito, and the patriarchs of 35 families became the background, silently watching the love story of Yokaid and Kusanai. Gyoshinai looked at the people next to him and said a little embarrassed, "Ahem, Yokaid, you talked to Naruto-sama first. Let's talk about it when we go back." After speaking, Gyoshinai retreated shyly. So many people watched. Can Gyoshinai not be shy? Yokaid looked at Uzumaki Mito and said, "Grandma Mito, I brought back Uchiha's body." At this time, Sarutobi Hinata had already walked to Uchiha's corpse and looked. "This is Uchiha? I thought that I had died 40 years ago, and I had been living, and I had been behind the scenes, and I found him, and I had a clue about many things over the years. Put the body in place. You can't let him pretend to be dead and run away like 40 years ago." With the order of the 8 Flying Sun, the wave Feng Shuimon immediately took the Dark Ninja and took away the body of Uchiha Ban. Then, Sarutobi looked at Night Feng. Killing 3 generations of water shadows, solving the chaos of the 3 major families of Konoha, and now bringing back the corpse of Uchiha. Under these great achievements, Yifeng's reputation is probably going to surpass himself. Let's welcome the return of Night Maples. The night of Konoha is still full of human voices. Although the arrival of Uchiha did not cause too many deaths, the entire village of Konoha was destroyed. Even the Hokage building, which had just been rebuilt before, could not escape the disaster. Now all the families in Konoha village are building new homes in full swing. First, remove the ruins and broken bricks and tiles in Konoha village and clear the vacant land. With soil, he asked his grandmother to sit outside the village and rest, and he went to move the broken bricks and tiles out piece by piece. At this time, little Kakashi and Rin came to help. Obito suddenly looked moved. "Rin, Kakashi, don't you have to move your house?" Little Kakashi said coolly, "My house is nothing. It's been cleaned up." Lin smiled and said, "Mom and Dad are cleaning up, and I'll come over to help." My eyes are in the sand again. Little Kakashi suddenly rolled his eyes wordlessly. At this time, Uchiha Makoto also came over. "Let me help you." Many ninjas who went out on missions came back and saw the ruined Konoha village, and they were stupid. For example, the scarred white fan banner Mushua Mao, with more than 10 companions, returned to Konoha village together, ready to accept the punishment of the failure of the S-class undercover mission, but saw that Konoha village turned into a ruin, and was immediately dumbfounded. This time, the mission to go undercover to Sand Hidden Village failed, and in order to save the lives of many of his companions, Kikishua Shigeru exposed the dark lines that Konoha village had buried in Sand Hidden Village for 30 years. Of course, the dark thread of 30 years was exposed, and Chimu Shuamao still desperately saved all his companions. But Kiki Shuamao knew very well that the failure of this mission was not only a failure, but also made Konoha's intelligence work in Sand Hidden Village into a very passive situation. And the main person in charge of such a result, Kiki Shua Shigeru, he knew very well that if he returned to Konoha village this time, he would probably be punished and reprimanded a lot. But even though he knew that he would face punishment and blame if he returned to Konoha, he did not hesitate to save his companion, and he never regretted doing it. Naruto-sama. Shuamao, you're back? I'm sorry, Naruto-sama. Shua Shigeru has failed to live up to your expectations. Ape Flying Sun Chopper was originally still smiling, but when he saw Chimu Shuamao's words, and saw the more than 10 people following behind him, with scars all over his body, he was stunned. What's the situation? Naruto-sama, I'm sorry. All our dark lines in Sand Hidden Village have been exposed. When Ape Fei Richo heard this, he immediately wanted to vomit blood. All dark lines. There's a saying MMP doesn't know what not to say. Ape Fei Ri saw an old man behind Chimu Shuamao, and his eyelids jumped. This is the dark thread buried in Shine Village for 30 years, and the old man who specializes in selling alcohol in Shine Village. In Shine Village, from a young man, he has become an old man now. This person was not put down by him, but by the dark thread that his teacher, the second-generation Hokage Senju, had put down, and how much important information about the village of Tsunehide had been brought to Konoha village for 30 years. Now uprooted? What is the situation? Ape Fei Sun's heart was dripping blood. The person behind wanted to speak, but was stopped by Chimu Shuamao. Chimu Shuamao said in a deep voice, Lord Hokage, it is all a mistake made by me, the person in charge, and I accept the punishment. Ape Fei Ri's heart was twitching, looking at Chimu Shuamao. The muscles on his face were twitching, patted Chimu Shuamao's shoulder and said, Okay, I know, you also see the current situation of Konoha. You go back to clean up your house first, just come back. What else can Ape Flying Sun Chop say? The dark line of 30 years is gone, and this matter will inevitably be settled after the fall. But now this matter is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to quickly re-establish order in Konoha village. Otherwise, if the other 4 ninja villages suddenly attack, it will be a big deal. However, just as Sarutobi Hinata thought, the 4 great ninja villages lurked in Konoha's secret sentry and undercover, and when Uchiha used the celestial barrier shock, they all passed the news back to their own ninja village. Now, the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow of Yanin Village, the newly appointed 4th generation of Wind Shadow Luosha of Shine Village, and the 3rd generation of Tokage of Yanin Village are all recruiting troops, gathering large troops, and preparing to attack Konoha. Take advantage of Konoha's disease, take Konoha's life. In particular, the 3 generations of Thunder Kage, who were taken away from his son, suspected that the disappearance of the 3 generations of Kazekage was related to Konoha, Chiyo, and the 4th generation of Kazekage Raza, and pointed all the contradictions in his country to Konoha. One of the best ways to deal with the contradictions in your own village is to transfer the contradictions out. Yanin village, on the other hand, took advantage of the fire to rob. The 3-generation Tying 2-day scale Inoki is not a reckless man like the 3rd-generation Laying AI. Not only has terrifying strength, but also has the dust of blood succession elimination that has surpassed the blood succession limit, but also is full of wisdom. The only Wuin village that didn't move much, in fact, was really scared by thousands of hands. The bay has become a beach, and now the foggy ninja is not very willing to go to sea in a short time. And the initiator Yifeng, who had just finished eating at this time, patted his stomach. When the results of the dinner came out, Nai was going to marry Yikid, and the wedding date was set for 7 days later. At the same time, Night Maple is about to become the 4th generation Hokage. Tentatively scheduled for tomorrow's Konoha interim high meeting, Yokid will be nominated as Hokage. People who can be the opponent of Night Maple basically do not exist. Although the Night Maple appeared like a shooting star in a short period of time, this meteor was too bright. Yifeng also did not expect that the woman who snatched the Watergate also snatched the position of the Watergate. The Watergate of this parallel world is probably a sharp knife under Yifeng. In that case, I'll let you live safely, the Ninetales Rebellion or something, just let me bear it. Yefeng originally wanted to sleep, but the noise outside was too loud, so Yefeng went out with Jioshinai. Everyone else's home collapsed, and only the Whirlpool courtyard remained. The main reason is that Yefeng used the Muduan Four Pillars family to directly rebuild the dilapidated Whirlpool courtyard. After eating a meal, Yefeng felt that the chakra in his body also began to recover. I have to say that the 1,000-hand pillar is a wireless charging treasure, and I only fought with Uchiha in the afternoon, used 2 Xianfa Mudujan thousands of hands, and almost exhausted chakra, and now chakra has begun to recover part of it. Yokaid happened to see the 3 students of his 7th class and Makoto Uchiha were cleaning up the debris and walked over. Uchiha Makoto's eyes immediately lit up when she saw Yikid, but when she saw Jiyoshina behind her, she suddenly showed a bitter smile. Jiyoshina Yifeng. The people around also said respectfully, Lord Yefeng. Now that Night Maple is the hero who saved Konoha, all the ninjas in Konoha village are very respectful to Night Maple. Yifeng nodded and said, you guys get out of the way, I'll come. Everyone was puzzled, but they still listened to Yifeng's words and let go one after another. Mu Dun Lianju family. Yifeng's hands were sealed, very complicated. Chakra immediately refined it, and in the land in front of him, countless roots were drilled, and the roots rose up and grew into trees. At a speed visible to the naked eye, these trees turned into houses and dusty all around. Everyone covered their faces, but their eyes showed a look of surprise, stunned. In front of them, one house after another rises, completely new. Not a house, but a row down, forming a new street. It's a miracle. Thank you, Lord Yukid. Thank you, Lord Yukid. Many people were about to kneel down, and were quickly helped up by Yifeng. Don't do this, raise your hand. This wave gave Yefeng a wave of goodwill. Jioshinai, Makoto, and Rin's eyes were wide, and the streamers flickered, and they felt that Yefeng was too handsome. Obito and little Kakashi were also stunned. Obito even clenched his fists and said, I also want to learn Muduan. Little Kakashi next to him rolled his eyes and said, Mudan is the blood succession limit, just like your Sharingan, you can't learn it. At this time, a voice of appreciation came from behind Yifeng. Yifeng, you are too powerful. Yifeng looked back and saw that it was the white fan-banner Mushuamao. Little Kakashi's eyes also lit up, and his face rushed up with joy, Dad. Kiki Shuamao's originally serious face showed a smile and hugged little Kakashi. Dad is back. Father and son reunited, happy and harmonious. Yefeng did not interrupt their parents on time, turned around and walked forward, continued to use the Mudulianju family, and helped Konoha village rebuild its home. The ninjutsu of Muduan Lianju's family is very expensive chakra, but how can Yefeng say that he also inherited the chakra between the invincible charging treasure 1,000-hand pillars, plus with the power of Indra, slowly come street by street? It is still possible. In addition, every time Yefeng uses the Mudulianju family, he is sealed with both hands, which can also slightly improve efficiency. In this way, Yefeng spent most of the night rebuilding the entire Konoha village into a treehouse village full of forest atmosphere. Houses made of wood on the walls, there are occasionally cyan shoots. The entire Konoha village has become like a forest. This is the real Konoha village. Ape-flying Sunchopper and ape-flying Lake Biwa, as well as many Konoha high-rises, all showed a look of joy when they watched the trees and buildings rise up. They had expected it to take at least one day, but they didn't expect it to be done in just one night. On this unpeaceful night, Every villager and every ninja in Konoha village had a place to sleep. Ape Flying Sun Chopper sighed and said, "The role of Yefeng alone can reach 10,000 people." The high level next to him quickly nodded in agreement. "Lord Naruto is right. Lord Yefeng is too strong." The villagers of Konoha village, with smiles on their faces, moved into the new treehouse, and as soon as they entered, they felt a special freshness from the forest of trees. Little Kakashi followed Kiki Shuama into his new home, knocked on the wood and said, "Dad, is Mudun necessarily a blood succession limit, and no one without a bloodline can't learn it?" Even the sane little Kakashi saw such a miracle as Yoki, and his heart was full of yearning. Not to mention others. Sarutobi Hinata led a group of Konoha high-ranking people towards Night Maple and Gyoshinai. "Hard work on you, Yifeng, Gyoshinai." Gyoshinai hurriedly said, "It's nothing, Naruto-sama, this is what we should do." Ape Fairy smiled, but Yifeng didn't bird him and looked ahead. It seems that only the Uchiha family remains. At this time, a high-ranking Konoha quickly stood up and said, "Lord Yikid, and slow." "Huh?" Yefeng looked at the old man. This high-ranking Konoha hurriedly said, "Lord Yokiid, we feel that the Uchiha clan should also move to the edge of the village." As the village guard, this incident did not notify us in time, which brought a major loss of personnel and wealth to our village, and it was obvious that there was a lack of work efficiency. Moving to the edge of the village will benefit our village guards. The words of this Konoha high-level have been endorsed by many high-level officials. The hemp rope master has a point. I think the Uchiha family should really move. Ostensibly due to the work of the guards, it was suggested that the Uchiha family relocate. In fact, it was today's attack on Uchiha that made many people in Konoha village question the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Fugaku, who had just rushed over, suddenly turned pale when he heard the words of these high-ranking Konoha high-level. "Patriarch Hemprope, it's not right for you to say this. We Uchiha clan have done our best." Before he finished speaking, someone immediately refuted, "But Uchiha is the ancestor of your Uchiha clan. Now if you Uchiha clan want to clear your name, you must move to the edge of the village." Yifeng did not expect that history was still moving closer to his original trajectory. Konoha's high-level alienation and isolation from Uchiha still happened. The fact that Ape Flying Sun did not speak also proved that he also acquiesced in his heart. During the battle, the idea of Ape Flying Sun / was indeed shaken, but now, Ape Flying Sun / is still more inclined to Konoha's high level. After all, the concept of beware of the Uchiha family was passed down from the second generation. These high-level students are second-generation students, and their ideas are passed down from generation to generation. Yefeng pondered for a moment and stopped Uchiha Fugaku from speaking. "Don't say it, it's really not very convenient for the guards to live in the village." When Uchiha Fugaku heard this, his face suddenly sank, and his heart was bitter. Even Lord Yokiid felt that all this was the fault of our Uchiha clan. At this time, Uchiha Fugaku's mind appeared Uchiha Madara's arrogant look. Indeed, Uchiha Madara is the ghost of our Uchiha clan, and the people of Konoha village do not believe us, and there is indeed a reason. Although Uchiha Fugaku is reasonable, but his heart is particularly uncomfortable. The head of the family, Uchiha, suddenly died tragically, and now the Uchiha family is leaderless. And he is forced to leave the territory of the Uchiha family for many years. This is something that has never been tried in Konoha village. As one of the 10 major families in Jiansuin, no family has ever left their territory, and if the Uchiha family is the first, it will be a shame for the Uchiha clan. Gyoshinai next to him frowned when he heard Yufeng's words. She thinks that the Uchiha family is not wrong, but the mistake is only the mistake of the Uchiha spot, and the mistake of the Uchiha spot cannot be attributed to the Uchiha family, right? And many high-ranking people in Konoha were slightly stunned when they heard Yufeng's words, and suddenly showed a smile. At the beginning, there were still many high-ranking people in Konoha who felt that Yefeng was too young, and besides, they were worried that Yefeng's ideological consciousness was not high enough. Now it seems that Yefeng is really still heading towards our Konoha village, and he is really the perfect heir to inherit the will of fire. However, just when the high level of Konoha was complacent, he saw Yefeng walking to the territory of the Uchiha clan. What does Yefeng want to do? Under their puzzled eyes, Yefeng asked the people of the Uchiha clan to get out of the way. Mood done, four-pillar family. In the territory where the Uchiha clan has been razed to the ground, rise tall buildings on the ground. The people of the Uchiha clan widened their eyes and watched as the trees instantly grew larger, became pillars, and erected a brand new tall building. The Uchiha clan, who reacted quickly, had already bowed down to Yifeng. Lord Yifeng, thank you. Yifeng raised his hand, and the root vines immediately drilled out of the ground, helping all these Uchiha clansmen who knelt down to him. It's okay, just raise your hand, you Uchiha clan deserve it. The people of the Uchiha clan even turned red when they heard Yefeng say this. Many people have heard that the Konoha high level wants them to relocate, and they also know that the appearance of Uchiha will make the whole of Konoha no longer trust them. Unexpectedly, Yefeng affirmed them. The high-ranking Konoha, who was originally very happy, had a condensed expression on his face. Even Ape Flying Sun was slightly stunned, unexpected. Yifeng's behavior is sometimes really elusive. Uchiha Fugaku was still a little confused. Didn't Night Maple agree with those high-ranking Konoha high-ranking statements? How did you turn around and help their Uchiha family again? The hemp rope master who had just spoken couldn't help but say, Lord Yefeng, what do you mean by this? Yefeng smiled and said, I think you guys have a point. As a guard, I am really not responsible for my own work in the center of the village, so my idea is to build another house on the edge of the village, specifically for the Uchiha guard. And this is Uchiha's territory, naturally inhabited by people from the Uchiha clan who are not guards. Yifeng's words made everyone's mouths open slightly. They didn't expect Yifeng to deal with this matter like this. What did they want to say? But Yefeng had already built the building. Was it useful to say anything more? Besides, it is to offend Yifeng. So even the hemp rope owner, who was very unhappy in his heart, still endured it. Ape Fei looked at Yifeng quietly, and his heart was full of emotion. Yifeng's way of dealing with it like this, he did not expect it. I'm really old. Perhaps Night Maple becomes the new Hokage, and can really lead the entire Konoha to glory. Uchiha Fugaku was ashamed that he had misunderstood Yokoid just now, and said with a guilty face, Yokoid-sama, you take a break, the house on the edge of the village, let us Uchiha guard do it. No, that's all you have left with the Uchiha guard, and I'll get the whole village done. Yifeng sighed slightly in his heart, hey, I can't help it. If you want to pinch the system wool, that's all. If the Uchiha family is allowed to build their own house, who knows if the system is considered their own? When Yefeng built all the houses of the Uchiha family on the edge of the village, the voice of completing the choice appeared in his mind. Ding, complete option 1, agree to the suggestion of the Konoha high level, forcibly relocate the Uchiha clan to the outskirts of Konoha village and get a reward. S-class art, heavenly spell seal. Ding, complete option 3 to build a 6-story building in the original territory of the Uchiha clan and get rewards. S-class character Ka Uchiha Itachi, Knight of Extermination, Uchiha Mikoto favor +10, Uchiha Fugaku favor +10. Yefeng was speechless when he looked at Uchiha Fugaku's favor +10. Why did he want Uchiha Fugaku's favor? However, the set of Uchiha Weasel is one step closer to the goal of collection, and there is still a Uchiha Weasel, Shout organization, which can be synthesized. In addition, the S-class Forbidden Technique Heavenly Spell Seal is also interesting. This is a forbidden technique for cultivating subordinates, which can infuse them with the Heavenly Spell Seal, thus making them more powerful and making unnatural changes. For example, Sasuke's second form of the Heavenly Spell Seal can grow wings and fly, which is a bit fierce. In addition, this is still a life-saving skill. Even if it is really hanged, it can be revived through the Heavenly Spell Seal. Of course, the second point has no effect on Yifeng. Along the way, people kept coming to Yifeng, Lord Yifeng. Yukid felt like a Hokage and beckoned in thanks. It wasn't until he returned to the Whirlpool courtyard that Yefeng breathed a sigh of relief. This time, too many people thanked themselves. Jiu Nai held Yifeng's hand, with a look of self-determination. This is my husband. Yes, although she is not yet married, Jioshinai already wants to call Feng's husband. So ashamed. Don't look at Jioshinai is very fierce when treating other people, but Feng is completely at the level of a male god in Jioshinai's heart. Jioshinai faced Feng, only the demeanor of a little woman. There was no such fierce look at all, and the little bird was next to Feng. The next day, early in the morning, Kid arrived at the Hokage building. This was the first temporary high-level meeting for the reconstruction of Konoha village. The Hyuga clan, the Uchiha clan, the Nara clan, the Yamanaka clan, the Akimichi clan, and other 35 major families of Konoha, as well as a group of upper ninja who have status in Motoha village, convened for a meeting here. Orochimaru walked to Feng's side and said softly, Feng, I know the position of Hokage. I can't grab you, but you have to promise me and support my experiment. Feng smiled and didn't say anything. Then Yokoid saw Jiraiya, Tsunade, and they all said hello. Feng sat down in the front row, while Bufeng Shuemen, Chimu Shuamao, who were not elite Shainin within the 35 family, all sat in the back row. Watergate looked at Feng, who was sitting in front, and said in his heart that he didn't envy. It was fake. Chimu Shuamao was slightly nervous. Yesterday Ape Flying Sun Chopper did not scold him, and the others did not say anything, but this calmness made Chimu Shuamao more worried in his heart. After all, he destroyed the dark line hidden in Shoin village for 30 years. Chimu Shuamao knew very well that this was an unforgivable crime for any Shainin. Now, Chimu Shuamao doesn't know what the village will do. After the people came together, the 3 generations of Hokage Ape Flying Sun Chopper slowly walked out. He walked up to the podium and looked around, glancing at Chimu Shuamao halfway, and finally at Feng. The matter of Chimu Shuamao will be handed over to the next Hokage to handle. Ahem, okay, everyone is here, then let's start. In the past month, because of the many conflicts between Kirihide village and Yunin village, as well as the crimes and rebellions of the Shimura clan, the Mito clan and the Shuani clan, coupled with the impetus behind the scenes, Uchiha Madara, we in Konoha have suffered a great impact. The casualties of 1,000 ninjas on the front line, and the village of Konoha once fell into ruins. Sarutobi said on the stage, and the people in the audience recalled that in the past month, there were probably more things that had happened in Konoha village than in the previous year. It was as if things had exploded suddenly. Many people's eyes flashed with essence, listening to the speech of the Ape Flying Sun. Their hearts were more or less guessing whether the war in the ninja world was coming again. I only heard Sarutobi continue to say, Konoha village has suffered so much loss in this month. As Hokage, I, Ape Flying Sun, must give everyone an explanation. Speaking of which, he paused for a moment and took a deep breath. Looking at everyone in the audience, he said lightly, so, I decided to take the position of Hokage. Everyone looked surprised. What? Nope. Lord Hokage, the losses of Yi village are all caused by Nin village and Uchiha spot, and this is not your responsibility at all. Yes, Naruto-sama, you don't have to blame yourself. In fact, a large number of people have already received the wind. Life in the world depends on acting skills. Don't say more. Sarutobi looked at everyone in the audience with a firm look in his eyes and said in a loud voice, in this month, I have deeply felt how correct the spirit of our Konoha village and our will of fire are. Where the leaves fly, the fire endures. The fire will continue to illuminate the village and allow new leaves to sprout. Young people are the hope of our Konoha. I am old. I believe that our younger generation of Konoha can take on the heavy responsibility of Hokage and can take on all important positions in Konoha. I've been on the Hokage seat for 25 years. It's time for the younger generation to come up. Now I believe in our young people in Konoha, just like the second generation Hokage Senjuma-sama back then. I believe in us. Speaking of this, Ape Fei's eyes were full of tears. He loves Konoha deeply and really wants Konoha to develop better. At the same time, he felt powerless. Therefore, it is the right time to abdicate now. So the candidates for the 4th generation of Hokage. Many people looked at Feng, who was sitting in the front row at this time. At this time, the head of the Hyuga family couldn't help but say, Naruto-sama, then the fourth generation of Hokage, have you chosen anyone? Sarutobi said lightly, all of us, each of us recommends a candidate, and the one with the most support is elected as the fourth generation Hokage. As soon as these words came out, the audience roared. Not specified? Many family masters had a flash of golden light in their eyes. Although the position of the Hokage is most likely Feng's, it may not be impossible for them to compete. Just when these family masters were hot in their hearts, Tsunade took the lead in raising his hand. I, Tsunade, recommend Yokuid as the fourth generation Hokage. Immediately afterwards, Zilai Yi and the Big Snake Pill also stood up one after another. I, Jiraiya, recommend Yokuid as the fourth generation Hokage. I, Orochimaru, recommend Yora to serve as the fourth generation Hokage. Konoha Sanshin unanimously recommended Yokuid as the fourth generation of Hokage. Many people showed a surprised look. They originally thought that the Big Snake Pill would still compete with Yifeng. After all, the Big Snake Pill was the most outstanding disciple under the Ape Flying Sun / Unexpectedly, the Big Snake Pill took the initiative to withdraw from the competition. Behind the three shinobi of Konoha, it is not the support of the 35 family, but it represents a large part of the upper shinobi. White Fang Chi-Mu Shuo Mao, Hokage half-sleeved, raised his hand and said, I, Chi-Mu Shuo Mao, recommend Yifeng to serve as the position of the fourth generation of Hokage. Many people looked at Chi-Mu Shuo Mao and were surprised that Konoha White Fang had given up competing for the position of Hokage. And then quite a few people probably understood. Yokuid is the teacher of Kakashi, the son of Kiki Shuamao, and Kiki Shuamao naturally supports Yokuid. Bufeng Shuimen pondered and also raised his hand and said, I, Bufeng Shuimen, recommend Yefeng to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. Then, the back was a group of shinobi, and they all raised their hands and said, I, recommend Yefeng to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. For no other reason, last night Feng rebuilt the wooden house for the whole village and harvested these Shangnan's hearts. For these upper shinobi, it is very simple. If you are good to me, I will be good to you. None of the others had spoken yet, and Yefeng had already gained the support of more than 0 people. This is only a 16-year-old young man. However, Yifeng's prestige and strength are enough to withstand this respect. But the 35 major families, no one has spoken yet. Suddenly, Uchiha Fugaku raised his hand. I, on behalf of the Uchiha clan, recommend Yefeng to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. All the heads of the family looked at Uchiha Fugaku in surprise. This young man turned out to be the new head of the Uchiha clan? Immediately afterwards, Inuga Butterfly, Yamanaka clan, Nara clan, Akimichi clan, and the heads of the 3 families all unanimously said that they recommended Yokuid for the position of the fourth generation of Hokage. Up to now, everyone has recommended the candidate. All of them are Maple. The head of the Hyuga family, who originally had some ideas, pondered and said, I, on behalf of the Hyuga clan, recommend Yokuid to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. Because now, Yefeng has won more than half of the votes, there is no need to fight anymore. At this time, brushing the good feeling in front of the 4 generations of Hokage is the real choice. The other family heads who can sit in the position of family head are all human spirits, and all their thoughts are similar to the Hyuga family head. I, on behalf of the Hemp Rope family, recommend Yefeng to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. I, on behalf of... Sarutobi looked at everyone's recommendation, his eyes flickering. That's what everyone wants. In the end, only Uzumaki Mito remained without saying anything. Uzumaki Mito smiled and said, I, on behalf of the Senja clan and the Uzumaki clan, recommend Yokuid to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. The number of participants in the meeting was 58, and 57 people have already expressed their views. The last person is the Ape Flying Sunchop. Sarutobi nodded, smiled and said, then. Now it is announced that the person who serves as the fourth generation of Hokage is Night Maple _
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500 plus novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.